All right, let's test this thing out. Let's see. No. Yeah, this is supposedly live. Oh, we'll test it out. Let's see. No, there we go. We're live, man. Let's test this out. Let's check my channel, and it doesn't show up on the channel, so I don't know. What's up, Alpha? I'm checking my channel page, and it's not showing up there, so I don't know. Figure just mess around with the StreamYard, see if it works. Been on other streams, I never tried to actually stream from my channel. I got some time, so we're West Coast over here. Are you streaming with my channel, Alpha? I guess so. Because StreamYard says I'm live, but I tried checking my channel page and it's not there, so I don't know. I'm pretty sure nobody's up right now who ever watches any of my videos, so it's okay. That's why I decided to try this out right now. So let's see. Let's go to my channel. Oh no, I'm live. Test stream's live. Cool. Cool. Right on. Notification went out. Thanks, Alpha, for confirming that. No, I see it on my channel now. Yeah, it's totally working. I just want to try it out. I've gone live on other people's streams, but I never done on my channel. So I just thought I'd test it out. I figured nobody's up right now, so I'll just mess around a little bit. West Coast, it's 11:42, so I can just totally mess around right now. And I'll probably just hide this on the channel later because I don't think YouTube likes people live streaming too much, but hey. Yeah, I'm on my channel. Test stream shows up. Cool. I got 3 people watching. Right on. What's up, Colin? Colin from CH Gadgets. What up? JD? People are up, man. What time is it over there? Where is everybody right now? Because I'm in California and it is 11:43 p.m. So I figured, it's almost 2 o'clock on the East Coast. Nobody's going to be up. We'll just mess around. How's the video and audio for you guys? I'm just trying to mess around with this stuff right now. Let's actually go to the stream and get the chat popped up here. Okay. Pop out chats. Oh. All right. StreamYard. Yeah, see? So, Colin, you're Central Time then. That's cool. Colin says 1:43 my neck in the woods, so that's Central Time. That's still late, man. I would not be up in my stream if I were you, but I appreciate it. I figured just messing around. But if you guys want, we can talk. Just playing around with StreamYard here. I figured I've been on a few other people's streams. I've been on went live with Jerome Ortega this week, and we've done Grego's TV. So I thought I'd just mess around with StreamYard, see if it works on my channel, the free version here. And I figured no one's going to listen to me because it is really late. And we could just do this and see what happens. JD asks, what would you like to see in the tech world for the rest of 2020? Let's see if we can show his comment. There you go. I mess around with mobile tech mostly, so mostly smartphone stuff. And as far as things that are cool, I would say I really like my Galaxy Fold. I like a lot of smartphones this year, but considering, everything going on in the world and how slow it's been to roll things out, I think the Galaxy Fold 2, I have not paid attention to the rumors. I just seen rumors about the Fold 2. I have no idea what it's supposed to be, but I think this should be pretty cool. So if I said Galaxy Fold 2 versus the Note 20, I would check out the Fold 2. Just because I really like my Fold 1. And Samsung's got to really probably improve that thing. So I think that's going to be really interesting when it comes out. But probably not this year. So 2020, there's not a lot exciting me in 2020, honestly. Let's think about what came out in 2020, right? So major phone guys, Samsung, you got the S20, which did not do very well. You got the OnePlus, which also did not do very well because they're trying to please the carriers this year. And Google, who has delayed their A launch this year. So 2020 overall has been fairly slow. Everyone's going crazy about that iPhone SE, and it's a good phone, but is it exciting? No. Yes, the Sony. I want to see what Sony does. I've ordered the Sony. I'm totally getting the Sony Xperia 1 Mark II. I was very skeptical when it was announced, but I am a camera guy. I'm a smartphone camera guy, and I'm a smartphone camera guy who likes to shoot in auto mode. And so the Sony is not up my alley for that. If you are a camera person, you like to do manual stuff, you're going to love the Mark II from what I've seen from Juan McNell and other TK Bay. Very credible YouTubers. They got the phone for free, but they will not sway their opinion because of that. And they're very much into cameras, and I've heard nothing but good things from them. And in general, for Sony to not get anything but very good reviews on their smartphones, it's pretty impressive. And that's what happened this year. So overall, either Sony's pouring a lot into the marketing, which they don't really do, or they really came out with a phone with really great cameras this year. So I'm going to test that firsthand. And from what I heard, the general smartphone camera app is nothing special, but they designed their whole pro apps. They designed their Camera Pro, their Cinema Pro, and their Camera Pro apps have auto mode, just like how their phones do, or their cameras do. So this is the year, I think, where joining up with the Alpha team really probably pays a lot of dividends. They did it with the Xperia 1, and it was okay. But this year was probably the emphasis to deliver a smartphone with alpha-capable quality. And so they came out with pro apps that have every mode that normal Sony cameras do. And Sony cameras have their normal, auto mode. They'll have their auto IQ modes. And this phone has that. And so I'm going to test it in that. I'm going to test the smartphone app, but I'm going to test the Camera Pro app in auto mode. And we'll see how that does up against some of their Sony cameras. And by all accounts, it does a really good job. And so I'm going to test it from a different perspective. Most people testing this thing will test from a pro perspective, which they should, because that's what Sony advertises this at. But can normal people pick this up, launch the Sony Pro camera app in auto mode, and actually get good results? I'm hoping for just above normal average Sony results because Sony sensors, hardware wise, are very good. And so they can provide the camera software to accompany that to challenge Apple, to challenge Samsung, to challenge Google. To me, that's very exciting. And I don't see many people testing it in that way. And that's no knock on anybody. I think you should test this thing in manual mode because that's how it should be tested. I'm not an expert in that. And I highly encourage you to go watch Juan Bagnell's reviews, to go watch TK Bay's reviews because they do it really well. But if you want to watch it from a non-pro perspective who just likes snapping photos like me, that's what I'm going to do. JD, let's see. Hope you get the review, Sony, soon. Always interested in your opinion. Thank you very much. Juan and Eric also do a good job in reviewing. Yes, they do. We must also support lower sub content creators. I love your low-key approach. Thank you very much, JD. I don't push out a lot of videos. I'm trying to do more. So as I do more, I really appreciate the support. I don't think I've earned it yet, but I'm going to try, I really want to push out more content. I want to do more reviews. I want to do more camera stuff. So I'll try to do that. But yes, definitely follow Juan. I'm not sure which Eric you're referring to. But yeah, definitely follow them. They do very good content and they're trusted. There's a lot of people who get this stuff for free, and I really question their motives. I'm not saying you shouldn't get your money out there for sure, 100%, man. If you can do that, you should do that. But Juan Bagnell, not only does he get stuff for free, but he knows what he's talking about. So if you're gonna trust anybody in cameras or in audio, you should definitely trust him, regardless of how many subs he gets or how big he's perceived as. He does a very good job. On the other hand, I'm not a camera expert. I'm just a guy that likes to take. I'm just into smartphone photography. I love doing smartphone photography, but I like point and shoot. I'll probably try to delve into like actual cameras, but for phones, no. I like point and shoot. I'll pull it out, take a shot, and that's it. And camera tech in smartphones has progressed to that point where you can. Google has proved it. iPhone 11 Pro, Google Pixel, two of the best right now. If I carry those two phones on me, I'm covered between still photos and videos for any situation. Nokia 9.3. I have not been following the Nokia probably since the Nokia 8 was pretty awesome. And then their Spider camera. I totally love that thing. I have not followed Nokia since then. H&D Global. So they're coming out with something else. 9.3. I've not really seen much about it. Sony Xperia 1 versus iPhone 11 Pro. I did pre-order that in US. They said July 24th. I got a pre-order that supposedly is shipped and it's supposed to get to me next week. So we'll see. If it does get to me next week, you'll see the Xperia 1 Mark II on my channel. And I'm definitely going to put it up against the big boys. iPhone 11 Pro and Pixel 4 XL. Nokia getting back to PureView tech. Yes, they already have, right? They had that Nokia PureView with the 8 lenses, the spider camera. And that thing was actually really, really good. I have it. It takes great photos. It's just the usability, even in auto mode. I think you probably miss some shots. It takes too long to process. So from a point and shoot perspective, it's not going to be that great. It's just going to take too long to process, but is it capable of taking great shots? Definitely. So hopefully Nokia actually improves their processing. But when you got 8 lenses grabbing a lot of information, that's hard. So maybe they go to fewer lenses with higher megapixel counts and focus on the processing from that, and you get some good results. Yeah, I'm going to check out that 9.3. I've really not checked out anything Nokia since the last peer review. Vivo X50 Pro. Yeah, that's the one with the gimbal. And so they got like 3 versions of that. I've had to go and check those out. And so they got the V50, the V50 Pro, and the V50 Plus, I think. And the Pro is the one with a stabilized camera. So it's got that 5-axis stabilization, gimbal-like stabilization. And the Plus version of that has the 50 megapixel lens sensor that supposedly is too heavy to have kind of any kind of gimbal action on that. So, but a better sensor. And I believe that, Vivo, parent company, it's part of BKK, which has Oppo and OnePlus and all that stuff, right? Vivo is always a cutting edge. So, but that Vivo X50 Pro looks a lot like that Oppo Find X2. And of course, same family. So they kept the design, but they upped the camera hardware probably, which makes sense because Vivo was always a cutting edge technology. And so Vivo will have that, cutting edge camera tech probably. And it'll trickle its way down to Oppo and etc. I don't know why that camera tech can't get down to OnePlus, because OnePlus is under the BKK umbrella. And so if Vivo has good photos, if Oppo definitely can do it. So why can't OnePlus? And I'm not saying OnePlus is bad. I've tried the OnePlus 8 Pro. I think their cameras are improved. But the best thing about that is that macro camera. Everything else about it, the processing is fine. Once you get to HDR, it over sharpens and overdoes it too much. It's a personal preference I get, but it's improved, but not something that I would recommend. I think Oppo probably does better in that, but the OnePlus 8 macro lens is definitely pretty good, impressive. Eric from yes, Easy Computer Solutions. Eric, yes. He is also extended cover less height phones. Yeah, Eric's on the Stylo 6 right now, and I think he is definitely not impressed by that Stylo. But he does a lot of LG phones for sure. He did V50, V60. So yeah, Eric, definitely Easy Computer Solutions. Love Eric's work. Sad to admit, N9 PV was kind of a letdown. However, at least some companies try to think and act out of the box. At least to play it safe. We don't need innovation. No, we do, man. We definitely do need innovation. That's what pushes the boundaries. That's what keeps things keep moving forward. And that's how we get great camera tech in our phones. I'm probably dating myself, but way back when, like years ago, Nokia was always in the forefront of camera tech and smartphones. And they had the N95. And that was before iPhone even existed. And their phone was capable of doing live streaming. And live streaming was a huge deal back then. And then it kind of died off. And now live streaming is cool again. But that Nokia N95 was the very first phone that I knew of that could actually do mobile live streaming direct from your phone. Before that, you had to do all kind of jerry rigging and crazy stuff like Justin TV was doing, where he was carrying that backpack around and doing his live streaming. But that Nokia N95 was really cool. JD asks, $1 million question. What would your ideal dream phone be like? It's a good question. I'd probably think, but like I said, I'm a camera guy, so anything with the ultimate camera on it, I would totally take. But in honest talk, I carry an iPhone and I carry an Android. Because a lot of my family uses iPhone, they use iMessage. I'm not going to make them change their behavior just for me. So I carry an iPhone for that purpose. I've carried an iPhone since the very first iPhone in 2007. And then I'll carry the very best of Android because I need variety. I can't just stick to iPhone. So any blend of the two with the very best camera from every perspective, because best camera is subjective, right? You got best camera for photo, you got best camera for video, low light, good light. And yes, people say every phone has a great camera and good light. I disagree. I think that's very subjective. Like, you can have good camera and good lighting conditions, but there's a difference between good and very good. You can totally tell a difference. That's why I do camera comparisons, even in good light, still to this day, because there is a difference. And so when you look at it on its own, it probably looks good. You don't have a problem. But when you can compare, there is definitely a difference. And so for still photos, I will still take the Pixel all day, every day. But it's it is preference because the Pixel will lend more towards cooler temperatures, sharper, higher contrast images. And not everybody likes that. I like that. iPhone will be warmer, in tone, which some people like. Won't be it's sharp, but not as sharp. Um, and portrait shots is Pixel all the way for me. But for video, 4K, 60 frames per second, stabilized from your front or rear camera is very impressive. And you don't need 4K 60. You don't. The fact that you can do it fully stabilized from a cell phone is freaking crazy. And if you do shoot that footage, it looks amazing. And so I know people don't need it, but they can do it. And if I could, I would suggest they change their settings to 4K 60 because you'll thank me later. It future proofs your kids' home videos. It will look a hell of a lot better. And yeah, you'll save those memories forever. And to me, that's what's most important. Because like I said before, I don't know if you caught my live streams, but Google Pixel, iPhone 11, I've always had on me. I shoot pictures of my brand new baby niece. And my sister, her mom, doesn't know what photo or I took any of those photos on. I just sent her some photos of my niece and said, hey, you might want some of these photos when I was babysitting her when I visited them back several months ago. And every single photo that she picked to showcase at her birthday party was from the Pixel. Zero prompting. She had no clue what phone it was from. She didn't even know it was from a phone. She just thought I took great photos. She took it, she printed, she put it up on a party. That's how good the Pixel cameras are. So I don't care what people say. Pixel for still photos, portrait mode, iPhone for video, and that's generic saying, but that's the truth. Alpha, yes. N95 was freaking awesome. That was probably not the first phone I owned on a plan, but the first phone that I was really excited about. What's up, Stefan? Tech Right's in the house. Tech Right, you're too big to be here, man. I don't know why you're here. But you are West Coast. I don't think you're in California anymore, but thank you for stopping by, man. P40 Pro or P Pro Plus, am I going to get one? Yes, I definitely want one. That Pro Plus is like $1,600 right now just because it came out. And I only see one trusted eBay seller who ships out of the US selling that thing $1,600. I'm not paying $1,600 for a P40 Pro Plus. I am considering the P40 Pro because that has come down to under $800, less than half the price. And the only difference between the two is those zoom cameras on the Pro Plus. The main shooter, the ultra wide angle are both the same. And that's where like 90+% of your photos are going to come out of. And the cool thing is the ultra wide angle camera on that P40 Pro, it performs well in low light. They've got a really good ultra wide angle sensor on that thing. So I'll still do that. Tech Right. Yeah, still in Cali. Right on, man. Southern Cal. No one's here in Northern Cal. Everyone's in LA. At least you're not in Arizona, man. I thought you were in Arizona for a little while, Tech Right. And Arizona's not doing so well right now, so I'm glad that you're not there. JD, 4K 60 on Apple devices. How many gigabits do iPhones consume per minute of a video clip? A lot. I'll be honest. It consumes a lot of storage. I did a lot of testing when I had my iPhone 11 Pro. That had 256 gigs of storage, and I blew past 100 gigs pretty fast. So in just testing the cameras, doing photos, videos, I didn't get close to 256, but I blew past 100 gigs pretty easily. Probably because I took a lot of 4K 60, just because I could. And then I thought that was cool. But yeah, but you could totally eliminate that through if you got cloud storage. If you back up locally, you can totally get rid of that on your device. But I get it, right? It's a pain. And most people aren't going to do that because, you got to go and actually resolve that, delete the stuff, and no one's going to manage your storage like that. I get it. You're helping Kevin Breeze. That guy, I think he's doing pretty good, man. I think he helped him too well. From what I see, I think that guy's doing really well, which is great. I think that guy's channel took off, and that's pretty awesome. So hats off to Kevin Breeze. I think he's doing this full time, so that's really cool to see, and it's really cool you helped him out, man. I'm gonna assume that means you collaborate a lot. Yeah, I'm assuming you guys are probably around the same age, so that probably helps, right? So that's cool. But you're back in LA, yeah. After all this is done, man, and we can actually go out again, we can now. But I really wouldn't do it. But if you're ever in Northern Cal, hit me up, man. We'll have some fun. Max Lee owes me some beers, so we'll go do that. 3 a.m. Yeah, Brian Lau. Brian, thank you for stopping by. No, I'm just testing StreamYard out. It's 12 a.m. here on the West Coast. Definitely late on the East Coast. And it's early morning there in Europe. So I figured no one would probably be joining the stream. I'm just messing around. Just want to test it on my channel, see if I could actually get it to go live on my channel. I've been on other people's live streams and just wanted to test it out and see what it's all about on my channel. I'll probably unlist this anyway, but just wanted to mess around here. Appreciate you. I don't know why you're up at 3 a.m. on the East Coast. 12 a.m. on the West Coast doesn't really seem that bad here. Yeah, you're a Valley boy now. Okay. Yeah, stay safe though, man. I know there's probably crazy parties going on down there, but stay safe. Don't do anything too crazy. They're given the climate, everything, it's everything's still real out there. So just be safe, man. Yeah, you and Kevin Breeze definitely need to come through. Tech Daily. I think he's in Vegas, right? Damn, that would be a crazy party. I think Tech Daily is in Vegas. And Vegas is wide open, which is scary, but just use some basic judgment there and be safe, man. I know how it goes. Brian Lau with $1 super chat. I totally see you supporting Phone Jerome Ortega on his streams. So totally appreciate that here. Not needed at all. This is just me messing around really late at night. I didn't think anybody would even come through. I was going to just check this quality out after I recorded it just to see what happens. Because on StreamYard, you can record locally, but I wanted to see what happens if I actually stream it to my channel. What's going to happen? How does it look? So, by the way, let me know how this looks. Because when I'm looking at it, it looks good. But, internet connections and stuff may mess it up. And let me know how it sounds. I think a pretty good mic. So I'm hoping this sounds pretty good. But I want to make sure I have the gain at the right setting and that I'm not too loud or too soft. But I figured if I was, someone would have said something by now. JD, am I a rare token of person who does not like big screen on current phones? No, you're not. There's a lot of people who like smaller phones, smaller screens. That's why Apple came out with their refreshed iPhone 8, the SE this year. There you go. I prefer devices sized like the original iPhone SE, and that's even smaller. So no, you're not alone. I think a lot of people like smaller phones. Not everyone's a monster phone, but ever since the smartphone industry went to the huge touchscreen, because it's a touchscreen, people want the biggest size display because you can watch content, you can touch it, it's easier to see. Back when we just had keyboards and small little screens to just do texting and basic things, no one cared. They want the smallest possible phone. I think there's a balance in between. There's people who want a reasonable sized phone that they can still see the display. So you're definitely not alone. How much does StreamYard charge per month, Alpha? I don't know. I think it's about $20 a month for the paid version. I think there's tiers. I haven't paid anything. You can still see the StreamYard version logo in the upper right hand. So I've not paid for it because I don't do a lot of live streams. I haven't planned for it, but I think for the rest of the year and for the rest of this, whatever, I'm planning on going live more. I want to push out more content. I'm trying to make myself do it. So if I do it enough, I might decide to pay. But there's also Ecamm. Ecamm is a little bit cheaper. I think it's $15 or less a month. But if you want to do like group streams, you have to use Skype on Ecamm, which is a huge bottleneck. You don't want to make people install something and figure out Skype, which is the beauty of StreamYard. So StreamYard is great for group, and I think Ecamm has just as good quality, is cheaper, has just the amount of features, if not more, if you're a single streamer. So I would say Ecamm if you're a single streamer, and StreamYard if you want flexibility. And from what I understand, StreamYard is probably about $20 a month at this point. Yeah, Tech Days in Vegas. Yeah, that guy's great videos. He's blown up. Yes, no party soon, but I understand it. I understand being young. Just use your judgment. Take care, man. Appreciate that. Looks good. Sounds good. Good. Brian Lau looks good to me. Good stuff. And Brian likes smaller phones too. But the battery life, that's true. That iPhone SE battery life is not bad. It just depends on how much you're going to use your phone. If you have a 9-to-5 job and when we could go to the office, iPhone SE is more than enough for me. I've tested it. I get like 4.5 hours of screen on time on the SE, which is pretty bad, probably by today's standards. But if you think about it, like if you are working all day, 5 days a week, you're not on your phone that heavily. You're probably on your laptop more. So 4.5 hours on your phone a day, 5 days a week. If you're a working professional, you're probably not going to do that. And that's more than enough battery for you. It fits easily in your pocket. It's better from a mobile perspective. So I can see that. But if you're always on your phone, it's your only device, you don't have a laptop and you're working heavily on that thing. No, iPhone SE is not going to be good just because not just bad battery life, but it's way too small. But there are small phones with thick, they're thick and they have larger batteries, and that could be good. But yeah, like LG V50 to the V60. V60 has the 4,000 milliamp hour battery, but they do a really good job on the software, and that thing gets like 9 to 10 hours of screen on time. And so, and it's really thin, but it's a bigger phone for sure. So it depends on what you mean by smaller and how small you want to go. But there are phones out there, man. And there's definitely a lot of people who want small phones with a great battery life. And they don't just want a dumb phone. They want a smartphone because, they want that touch display. They want to get the most out of social media, but they don't want to pay a whole lot of money. Style Point says, I have a V50 and loving it. Yes, the V50 is a very good phone. It was just really hard to get here in the US. Like when it came out, and still, you could have only got it on Sprint or Verizon. You could not get it on any GSM carrier. You could not get it unlocked. And if you bought it through Sprint or Verizon, it was a ton of money. But now you can get it unlocked. You can get a Sprint version unlocked or a Verizon unlocked. I think Sprint unlocked. Android stud Leo. He sent me some link to eBay today. V50 unlocked from Sprint's going for $350, and that's a hell of a deal. I think Amazon Renewed is like $400 for an unlocked LG V50 on Sprint here in the States. I think that's a pretty good deal because the V60 is like $700 without a dual screen on T-Mobile, and that's the cheapest deal. And that's $800 for the dual screen. So that's double the cost. And if you don't care about the dual screen, I think the V50 is still really good. Still performs well. I think the V60 is better in every way, though. Honestly, better hardware, better, smoother performance, better battery life, everything. But it's not like V50 is a slouch in those areas. And the V50 has a better camera in auto mode. Now, I'm sure if you want to watch Juan Bagnell or anybody that tests the V50 versus V60 in manual mode, you might get different results. But I tested in full auto mode because I think there's still people who go to a carrier and will buy a phone and they're just going to point and shoot that thing. And if you do, the V50 is going to beat down that V60 all day. And not to say that the V60 is bad. If I just shot the V60 photos and I looked at it, I would think they're great. When you compare them side by side with the V50, the V50 is clearly better. It's easier to use because the V60, going to the higher megapixel sensor, the higher megapixel sensor you got, the smaller micron pixels you have, and the worse minimum focusing distance you're going to have. So if you're trying to take a picture of a kid close up, you're trying to take that macro photo shot close up, it's not going to come out great with the V60. You're going to have to switch to the zoom, which most people won't know to do. If you go close and you switch to the zoom, 2x zoom, and back up a little, it'll focus up and get a good photo. But no one's going to take the time to do that. No one will know that. Unless you're getting it because you're a pro camera guy and you're going to do that. Or you go to manual mode, which the V60 does have focus peaking, which is very cool. But point and shoot V50, 12 megapixel sensor, you can get really close, take great macro shots, and it's going to come out better than the V60. So, TLDR, if you like camera and you are price sensitive, get the V50. If you kind of like camera, you're good with a pretty good camera, not the best, and you want the best everything else, and you want to pay less than the Samsung S20, get the V60. $2,400 milliamps in the iPhone SE 2020, Brian. I don't think anyone's wished for only 2,400 milliamps, but yes, iPhone, considering the SE had less than 2,000, yeah, that's probably a lot for iPhone. And with the iOS optimization, I hate saying that because that's such a clone term, like I optimize the phone, but that's really what it is. It's software optimization. How well can you get your software to perform with the hardware that's given? And yes, iPhone does really well with minimal battery capacity. So 2,400 will definitely be good. StylePoint's got his V50 with a dual screen for $500 from eBay. That's doing pretty good. The V60 with dual screen here in the US is $800. So you save yourself $300. That's a pretty good deal. Have you ever thought about doing a BTS video on how you decide what to shoot and how you compose your shot when you take your photos? Not really, because I don't think anybody cares about that. I just do full auto, man. I don't do anything special. There's nothing interesting about what I do. I just go, I point, and I shoot at stuff, So I don't do any fancy things with my photos. Everything I do, all my smartphone camera comparisons, full auto mode. I don't do anything special. I just point and shoot. And now, with the current conditions that we're in, yes, restrictions are lifting, but I'm still not venturing out too far. So I used to go around. I'm in California, Northern California, Bay Area, San Francisco Bay Area. And so I try to go to interesting places to take interesting shots and show off the area. But now that we're kind of restricted, I don't do that. And yes, we're opening up, but I'm not venturing out too far. And there's not like cool things that I shoot. Yeah, Brian, crazy how the V50 is better than the V60. It's my test, right? My personal test, shooting in full auto mode on a camera. And I'm sure if you went to Juan Bagnell or someone else's video who compared both phones, and they probably did manual mode, you might get different results. I'm sure the V60 is capable of better than what I showed. And I admitted that I'm not showing it in manual mode. LG wants you to do it in manual mode. It's a creator phone. It's meant V Series' video. It's always been for manual mode. But I don't do that stuff on my phones, man. And so I'm not going to go and fake a video saying I know how to do manual mode and show how to do manual mode. There's so many videos out there. Go watch Juan. Go watch a lot of guys. Definitely go watch their stuff. I encourage you to watch their stuff and compare it to my stuff in auto, because all that's very important information. Because maybe you do both. Maybe you want point and shoot. Maybe you're willing to take the time to do manual sometimes. You want to see how it performs in all those situations and modes. I don't do manual, so I'm not going to go fake a video and say, hey, I know how to do manual mode. That's not me. I do point and shoot. I'll definitely show you how to do point and shoot and what the results come out to be. And I don't think a lot of people do that with the V phones, especially because Samsung is so focused on marketing the manual capabilities that that's what they're going to test. Sony Xperia 1 Mark II, they're advertising the manual mode, and they should. That's what it's geared towards, the alpha camera users, power users, manual camera mode people. But I'm not going to test it that way. I'm going to see Canon do auto mode, because there's going to be people who buy this stuff in carriers or just see it online. They'll buy it and they're just point and shoot people. So I give you the point and shoot angle, and that's the results that I get. And what I got between the V50 and the V60 was V50 performed better, not just from an ease of use perspective. I could take a better photo more often and try less hard with the V50 than the V60, but it also took a better picture. It looked more natural in color, and everything just looked a whole lot better on the V60. On the V50, sorry. JD, not sure, but weirdly enough, I think the V40 may have a better, clear audio recording than the V50. Yeah. Oh, V40. Yeah, maybe. I don't have a V40. I had the V20. I never had a V10. So I had a V20. I skipped. No, I had a 30. I did not have the 40. And I went to the 50 and 60. So I never had a 40. I might go back and pick up a 40 because they're probably $300. Hopefully it's cheaper than that. If it's less than 300, I'll probably consider getting a V40 and trying to compare that. But I hear very good things about the V40 too. Steve, what's up, Steve? Appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate you sticking with me, even though I don't produce any videos anymore. So, and I was just saying, I think it's probably about 9 a.m. where you're at right now. So that's not too bad for you. Really appreciate you stopping by. Steve is a long-term. He's been checking out my channel since the beginning. So really appreciate him sticking with me here. Style points. I've been testing V50. Auto mode quality looks good, but when I'm walking around, it's very shaky. V50, it has a super steady mode. V50 has super steady mode. If you're willing to shoot in 1080p, turn on super steady and it works pretty good. But even with it off and just shooting in regular 1080p, I thought stabilization was okay. It's not going to be like crazy gimbal steady, but I thought as long as you're not trying to purposely shake around, I thought it was fine. But if you stomp around, try the super steady mode on the V50. I thought it was pretty good. Alpha, have you used Snapseed? Yes, I've used Snapseed to edit my photos. I don't edit anything that I post on social media or on my videos. So if you see anything I post to social media, nothing's filtered unless I say it's filtered. And anything in my videos is definitely not filtered. It's straight out of the camera. But yes, I will use Snapseed. I'll use Google Photos. I will use Lightroom if I need to, if I want to get a photo look the way I want it for my own need. But for whatever I post on YouTube, no, definitely not, unless I mention it. Social media, definitely not, unless I mention it. I don't want to be your phone to be a brick. Yeah, I don't want the phone to be a brick either. Let's see. Art Dog. What's up, Art Dog? Art Dog is another guy that's been around for a while now. He supports a bunch of channels. So Art Dog, thanks very much for sticking it here with me too. And I appreciate you stopping by. One of the original channel members here, or subscribers to the channel, has always been around. Brian, most people use point and shoot only and have manual mode, so it becomes more versatile. Yeah, absolutely. You know, if you can use manual mode, you know how to use it, you've got the time to use it for the shot you're trying to compose, I would definitely highly recommend it. But most people don't use it either because they don't know how to use it, they don't want to mess around with it, or they don't have the time to use it. If you're taking family photos of kids or even a family, say you're taking a photo at a dinner, you guys are outside, you want to take a family shot before you guys leave. No one is sticking around and saying, letting you go, wait, let me get this. You're messing around. They're going to give you a hard time. People just go get everyone together, point and shoot. I'm done with it. And they all compare at the end and says, who has the best photo? Email that out, tweet that out, whatever. I'm going to say Pixel wins probably almost every single time. 300 for a V40 is a good price. It is. I've seen V40 on Amazon for about 3 something. If it's less than 3, that's a steal, and I will totally grab one. 825, yeah. So you're 8 hours ahead in the UK. See, it varies between 8 and 9. I wasn't sure what it was. 825. Thanks for joining, Steve. Really appreciate it. More videos. I'm trying, man. I'm really trying. That's why I'm messing around with this live streaming. I pushed myself to join other people's live streams because I'm just pushing myself to get out there. I was always concerned about doing live, whatever. Concerned about what I would say, what I'll do. But recently I'm pushing myself to do more live streams, getting other people's streams. So I just, decided I've been doing it. Let's test out StreamYard on my channel. Let's see how it works independently. Maybe I'll do more of these things, but number one, I want to do more videos. I'm trying to get one video out a week. I've got the low light of the V60 versus the V50 coming out in the next couple of days or so. I've edited the whole video. I've just got to film the intro and the outro, which is my whole opinion about how I think of the phones performed. And I try to take my time with that because, I want to give my opinion about how I think the cameras performed. I used to do it sometimes. Other times I wouldn't and just say, let me know what you think. But I figure you guys want to know what I think. When I watch videos, I want to know what the reviewer thinks about how they performed. I may not agree, but I want to know what they think. I want to see what it looks like because they can add more perspective. They can add commentary about how the scene was for them, if the colors were natural or saturated. Only their eyes saw the scene. And so they can lend context to the performance. And so I'm trying to force myself to give opinions about how they performed. And so that's why it also takes me a little bit of time to not just do all the shots, edit the video, but then also compose my thoughts and then film that piece. And so that's the only part that's missing. I'll probably try to do that tomorrow and get the video out as soon as I can. But let me know. I mean, at least for this group here, do you care if I give my opinion about how these cameras perform, or should I just release the footage comparing the two phones and leave it up to you guys to figure it out? Let me know. If you don't care about my opinion, then I can get stuff out faster. So definitely let me know. But yeah, camera comparisons take a lot of time. And so beyond that, I thought about only doing camera comparisons on this channel because everyone says you really should niche down your content. Focus on your content, and that's what will matter. So you shouldn't do everything, boil the ocean. And so I was going to only do camera comparisons on this channel. Then I really thought about it. I want to do more stuff. I want to talk about other aspects of the phone. I want to do other tech related content. I like audio stuff. I want to do other things. I got other products coming in. So I want to do that too. So I thought about opening up another channel. And then I saw, I haven't posted for probably 4, 5, 6 months. And so these last 3 videos performed pretty much like I was doing a brand new channel anyway. Like YouTube is not pushing it out. And I get that. I'm not blaming YouTube. I blame myself. So I feel like I'm starting from ground zero again anyway. So I might just do whatever I want anyway. I'll do camera comparisons. I'll do unboxings of phones. I'll do phone opinions, ultimately reviews of them. So I'm trying to bring more content. And so I'm going to try to make myself do more of it. It might not be in the greatest quality or how I want to do it. I'm going to do it in whatever time I have available. And just push it out when I can. And if it's not the greatest, who cares? It'll be my opinion. And I think that's all that matters for now. But my whole thing is just more content. Yeah, let's see. Let's see, Ishmael. I will love the V50, but I want that AMOLED display. Yeah, if you want AMOLED display, sure. It depends on what you want. Do you like camera the most? Do you want display, performance, what? I'm trying to make videos for YouTube with my V50. Do you recommend recording in 4K 60 or 30? What's the best workflow? It depends, so it depends on what you're shooting. If you're just doing tops down product reviews, 1080p, 30 or even 60 frames per second is more than enough. If you're trying to do even headshots, 1080p probably fine. So it depends on what you're trying to film. You're trying to do really nice B-roll, you're trying to do really nice optimal quality things, I would go 4K. But if you're just doing basic product shots, more than resolution is lighting. If you have good lighting at 1080p, it's going to show off the product very nicely. Most people won't distinguish that from 4K because they're watching on mobile anyway. So it depends on what you're trying to film and shoot. And Steve says it's good to communicate live with you. Yeah, it's great to communicate with you guys. Like I said, I wasn't thinking anyone would jump on. I was just going to mess around, look at the quality and the video quality after, seeing if it was working out or not. But appreciate you guys being here. Never thought anybody would actually be on right now. I want to catch the replay on race. I'll probably unlist it after a little bit, just because YouTube doesn't like when you actually live stream, and it seems to penalize you a little bit if you keep the video up. So at worst, I will unlist it and I'll put it in the community tab so it's still there if you want to reference it. But yeah, I don't know why YouTube does that. Note 10 Plus manual mode, pimp slap the Pixel S3, Pixel 3 XL Astro mode for Northern Lights photos in Ireland. Yeah, I don't know. That's actually surprising. Note 10 Plus manual mode beat out the Pixel 3 XL astrophotography mode. That's impressive. Where was that, Brian? Like, who did that? Because I'd be interested. That's impressive because from everything I've seen, Dave West, if you know Dave West, he's out in the UK. He does phenomenal camera stuff. And he's really into astrophotography. He does really good stuff on the OnePlus 7 Pro, and he's got the OnePlus 8 Pro now. But he does really amazing shots on the OnePlus phones, astrophotography. So if you're into that, definitely check out Dave West. Steve says, me too. Appreciate that, Steve Warman. You're awesome. Ishmael, love your work. Appreciate that, man. All you guys, I really appreciate all this. Leave it to the end. Yeah, I like to do it at the end. A lot of people like to do their camera comparisons and kind of tell you as they're going along. And I feel that just biases you. You won't be able to judge for yourself. And so I like to show you as much as I can. I won't show you all the shots I took, that'd be too long, but I try to show you a good variety of shots that I took in different modes for both photos and videos. And I try to let you make up your mind for yourself, because we all have our own opinion. And then I like to give my opinion at the end so that you can at least have my opinion. Not that I'm right, but you have my opinion. You know what I like, what I don't like, and you can take them into account when you formulate your own final opinion. And I think people like to make their own opinion and see if that matches up with the review or not. And it doesn't always have to. I don't always think my opinion matches with every reviewer, but if they're consistent, that's what I appreciate, because everybody likes certain things in their photos and their videos. So I think if you're very consistent in what you like and what you don't like, and why you like them and don't like them, then it makes it very easy for me to decide, if XYZ reviewer likes something, I know I like it because of what they like it. I'll probably like it too. Or they, don't like it, but I like the things they don't like. So I'll probably like it if they don't like it. So as long as you're consistent as a reviewer and explain why you like or don't like something, I definitely think that helps the person watching the video and making their own decision. Colin wants to know what I think. Thank you, Colin. Let's see. Wow, a lot of comments. I'm impressed. Art Dog likes to judge for himself, but my opinion is always welcome. Thank you very much. Thanks, Art Dog. I appreciate that, man. I'm going now to see you in the comments. Good to see you again. Take care. Yeah, Steve. Appreciate you stopping by, man. Take care. Oh, you took the photos in Iceland yourself, Brian. That's awesome. You went to Iceland? Not too many people I saw went to Iceland. I know Alex from Red Skull. He went to Iceland and he took a bunch of photos with that P30 Pro, and they looked amazing. I think Iceland is just, you could take anything and you probably have the backdrop to shoot fantastic photos. Yeah, I think I'll be shooting all hours of the night too. Costa, what's going on in Sydney, man? So Costa's been a long time follower too. We actually met up when I actually traveled on a vacation down in Sydney. So, you know, always awesome to see him. I'm surprised he even jumped on a live stream. And I figured he would give me more crap for this, but Big John, what's up, Big John? Impressed that you're on right now. It's got to be really early or late for you, depending on how you look at that. Style points, thanks for your help. For sure, I just want to upload in 1080p for YouTube. I just meant for recording to get the best quality, which is better to use 4K or 1080. It doesn't matter. Yeah, best quality is always going to be 4K. So the higher resolution, the better, although bitrate matters. So it depends on what you're recording with. But generally speaking, higher resolution will get you better quality. But sometimes that doesn't matter, like I said, depending on what you're actually shooting and depending on the lighting. You know, if you darker situations, I would not shoot 4K. Darker situations, 1080p will also be a little bit better. But if you have good quality lighting, if you're just shooting product stuff, 1080p is going to be more than enough. Well, we're almost up on an hour. I'm impressed I lasted that long. I was going to jump on for like a 10-minute recording and just check out the quality after so I can make some tweaks if I wanted to. Costa, no mate, no crap. Actually happy that you're getting back into it. Yeah, I'm trying. You know, I'm forcing myself to get back out there. And honestly, I used to turn down live stream invites because I didn't want to do it. I was too embarrassed or too insecure to do it. So, you know, now this year, given everything, I'm trying to just do it. I'm forcing myself because, you know, judgment of others, you know, when you think about, no one probably thinks more about yourself than you. And they're probably not even thinking about you that way. So, and I was worried about I'm going to say stupid things and say the wrong things, and it's on the internet forever. But I'm trying to not give a crap and just go and do it more. So if anybody wants to live stream and invite me, I'm more than happy to do it. I'm going to accept more than I don't. I'll always do it if I have the ability to do it. And just making more videos. I was concerned about, you know, being too perfect with my videos, saying the right things, you know, but I think I'm just going to let it go. I'm just going to record, and as long as it's not too crap, I'm just going to polish it. I think for my reviews, I'm going to try to make them still as good as I can, but just unboxings, first impression stuff, you know, I'm just going to let it fly. And so hopefully I give you more content, because I get a lot of phones. I get a lot of phones that I don't show on this channel. A lot. And Costa knows, because we talk private chat and offline and stuff. And he knows I get a ton more phones than I show on this channel. And the reason why I even started this channel was because I get those things anyway. I don't get those phones, or I don't get those devices because of this channel. I get them anyway. And I started this channel because I get them anyway. And I want to just share my opinion on all of it and hope it helps somebody. And so I'm going to take that mentality and just carry it forward and just try to show as much of what I get as possible. Not because I want to show off, but because I want to share my opinion. And I think maybe it'll hopefully help someone. Because at this point, YouTube pretty much figures I just started from scratch again. Because if I look at how my last 3 videos performed, it's like I just restarted my channel again. So I really thought about, oh, let's niche down, only show camera comparisons because that's what Google's going to push. on YouTube for my channel. You know, they only push my camera comparison stuff and let's get views that way. But considering that they don't give a crap that I pushed out 3 camera comparisons, they really haven't pushed it too much. I think they think I'm starting over again. I'm not blaming YouTube. It's my own fault. I haven't published anything for like half a year. So if that's how it's going to be, I think I'm just going to publish whatever the hell I want anyway. So I think I'll just do that. And I don't count on this for any kind of income anyway. You know, I have a standard 9-to-5 job. I make my money that way. And so I'll just keep doing this thing for fun. Let's see. Back to comments. Yeah, YouTube penalizes live streams because Jerome gets killed on his live streams is what he was saying. He was saying like almost all of them get demonetized and he's not getting a ton of views. So yeah, I don't know why. YouTube says because they send creators emails encouraging us to live stream. They want us to do this stuff. But then when people do it, they either demonetize because of what they say or they give them zero push on those videos at all and don't get any views. And in fact, if anything, subsequent videos that people have said done bad because they've done a ton of live streams. So a lot of people either do separate channels dedicated to live streams or they'll unlist their live streams because it hurts them to keep them public, which is crazy. Big John says he got a new drone. He's planning on getting some new videos and a little different than my typical phone reviews. Yeah, drone reviews are probably pretty big, Big John. So if you can do cool drone reviews and get good footage, I think that's going to do pretty well. So that'd be very cool. I would totally watch that. I don't have a lot of room to do drone footage where I'm at right now. So if you do, that'd be very cool. Yeah, John, if you want me, man, let me know. If I can do it, if the time works out, I'll definitely do it. Like I said, I've gotten invited and I feel bad for declining just because, you know, it wasn't the person or anything. It was just my own insecurity. And so I told myself this year, you know, if timing works out, I'm going to do it. So if you want me on, I'm totally going to do it if it works the timing out. Costa says, my thoughts on people hyping out the P40 Pro as the best camera phone, even though it's the most unusable in the West and not worth most people's money. No, I don't know if I did that. So I just think the P40 Pro is really expensive because it just came out of the gate. It's priced like a S20 Ultra. So $1,400 out the gate. And it's probably worth every penny of that. The camera's as good as they say. But given that the P40 Pro, not the Plus, can be had for half the price, I definitely would not say people should buy that Plus right now. Like, wait a bit. I'm sure the price will come down just like the Pro did. Because the only difference that I can see between the Pro and the Pro Plus is those zoom cameras. So if you don't care about zoom, you just care about the main lens, you want the ultra wide, you want everything else about the phone, get the P40 Pro. It's a lot cheaper now because it's been out for a lot longer. Brian said I did well in drone stream. I appreciate that, Brian. I'm not sure, but I tried. Yeah, people can be very judgmental. But yeah, they're not on this side of the camera. So I told myself, screw them. I don't really care. until you get on this side of the camera, you have no opinion of me. Good thing I found a channel from your V50 content. You're doing a good job. Thank you very much, Style Points. Appreciate that very much. I really want to get that Velvet too. The LG Velvet is getting a lot of crap too. LG gets so much crap. And it probably is expensive if you just look at the specs, but it's LG taking a risk. They're trying something different. So I'm going to try to get that Velvet. I think it's a pretty cool looking device. It's not going to be the best cameras. It's got a mid-range camera in it. It's not meant to be. They're trying to sell this thing off of Style Points and 5G. And 5G doesn't matter for anything right now. But I applaud LG for actually trying something different and making a pretty good looking phone. And it does support dual screen. And from the scene, that dual screen is pretty slim with the case on. So I definitely want to try to get that Velvet. There you go, Colin. What are my thoughts on the Velvet? That's my thoughts on the Velvet. I think for the specs, if you're looking at pure specs, it definitely is priced too much and people are getting crap for it costs too much because of the specs. Yes, it does. But it's LG doing something different. It's technically going to be priced less than their V series. And they're still selling a dual case with it. And in Europe, they're selling it for $650 with the case, with their brand new true wireless buds. For $650, even with the specs and what it has, I think it's a great deal. If they came out with that for $650 at the US, considering that it's $800 for the V60 with the dual case and no buds, I think that's going to be a great deal on the Velvet. And carriers are going to have even better deals off of that $650, so it'll be cheaper than that. If that happens, it's definitely a great deal. And not everybody cares about the camera like that. It's going to have more than good enough cameras. It's not going to be the best, but it'd be good enough. And people are going to say it's a good looking phone. I get dual screen. That's pretty cool. And I get buds for way less than even Samsung. How do you get so many phones? I sadly pay for them. If you want to go poor like me, then that's how you do it. Costa says, don't want perfection, make adjustments as you go. Though the adjustments you think you'd like to make it on the next video. Just make them and then reevaluate. Yeah, that's what I'm going to do. I think certain videos have to have a certain level of quality. I think the camera comparisons have to have certain elements in it to be a proper comparison. So I'm going to keep taking my time on those, because I think you just throw up a bunch of comparisons side by side doesn't make it a comparison. I think it gives people information, but it's not how I want to do them. So I'm going to make them to a certain degree of quality. Not saying that I have great quality. And my reviews, when I do official reviews of phones, I'm going to make it of a certain quality, because I think I want to make sure that I have the right information in an actual review. But if I'm just doing an unboxing, if I'm doing first impressions, if I'm doing like 24-hour first week reviews, I'm just going to do that stuff off the cuff and just let it fly. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. It doesn't matter, because it's not an official review. It's just what I think about it in that moment, and who cares? And so that gets me to the point where I can do a lot more content frequently. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to do unboxings. I didn't think people cared about unboxings, but I look back and people actually watch those things because I think it's unique per person. So I'm just going to let that stuff fly. It's not going to matter. I'm going to do first impressions. It doesn't matter. It's what I think. I think it's important to let people what you think in that moment. And it doesn't have to be perfect. And in fact, it's better that it's not perfect. But I think final reviews do have to hold a certain standard of quality. Otherwise, it's not a review if you're just flying off the cuff and you miss stuff. That's not helpful to a person. So final reviews, I think, have to have a certain quality. Camera comparisons, in my mind, have to have a certain quality. But everything else is a free-for-all. And that hopefully will let me get more stuff up more frequently. And because I get a ton of stuff. I get more than phones. I have a ton of phones. I have a ton of phones you don't even know I have right now. I've got a lot of audio products. I got Bluetooth speakers. I got true wireless stuff. I have a ton of stuff. And so I'm going to just try to let that stuff fly in the channel a little bit more. Brandon from Everyday Tech is here. If you don't know Brandon, you don't subscribe to his channel, definitely check him out. And he's putting out a lot more content lately. And he's another guy. He just lets it fly. I like his style. So check out Brandon from Everyday Tech. No way I'll ever pay for $1,000 for a phone, and you really shouldn't. So nobody should pay over $1,000 for a phone. Not even close. So phone manufacturers mark up these prices because they want that MSRP, that first sale price, to stand out. Because then when you get your deals, it'll look like you're getting a good deal. They'll mark it down to $800, $700, $600, and it sounds like a good deal compared to $1,000 where you started. It's like a car dealership, right? You start off at a really high price at a car dealership, MSRP, and you work your way down and you feel like you got a good deal. Same thing with phones. They want to start marking this stuff super high so that by the time you walk out of a carrier or they give you a good deal, you feel really good about that deal when that's the price they would have sold it to you anyway. So yes, no one should ever pay that much for a phone. LG gets crap for software support. Yes, they do. And they aren't the best at rolling out updates, but they do roll out updates more than people think. People keep bringing up boot loop, and I know Costa's on here, and he had the boot loop issue with his G4, but that was the G4. We're on what now? The G8. and now the Velvet, and now the V60. So I haven't heard of any boot looping stuff since then. And people need to get out of the past. LG updates just not as frequently, and because they're charging you less. So you want to pay for software? Fine, pay more, but people don't want to pay for software. Let's see. Big John says he checked me out live. He just got home, which is awesome, but time to hit the hate thing. Hey, man. Thanks, Big John. Happy Father's Day to you. Totally understand. Have a good one, man. Their UI is, man, they're expensive as in general. Is that LG? I don't know if they're expensive. If that's LG compared to everyone else, and their UI is, man, that's always been a complaint too, but I think their UI has gotten a lot better. I haven't changed the launcher on my V60. The only thing I want them to improve on their launcher right now is to let me use icon packs. I can set the grid size that I want. I can set a lot of things I want. Swipe down from the top to get notifications. A lot of things that LG never used to do. If they let you customize the icons, but not icon packs. If they can let me use icon packs, I don't think I would ever really care to change the launcher. LG phones should have good cameras. Yeah, they do. And especially if you're willing to go into manual mode, they have awesome cameras, and especially audio. If you care about video and recording audio, you don't even need an external mic. They sound really, really good. And they have directional mics. So in auto mode, you can set what recording mode you want. So you can definitely get good directional audio. Art Doug loves unboxings. Okay. I will definitely keep trying to do those. Interest is what interests me these days. So 2020 has been limited in what's been out there. But I like a lot of stuff, man. I like almost everything. Right now, I always carry an iPhone. I always carry Android. I still like the Galaxy Fold. Not many people like the original Fold, but if you actually used it, it's actually a pretty good phone. I don't like the Flip. I've tried the Flip. The form factor is not for me. I think the V60 is better than the V50 in every way except for the cameras. And the price is right on that thing, which is why I want to try the Velvet. S20. S20 had the baby S20. I have not had any other Plus or the Ultra. And the S20 has been good. I think they went too far on the cameras this year. Forget the Ultra and the disappointments there. Just on the S20, which is similar to the S20 Plus. It just doesn't have the time of flight camera. But the S20, the processing is way too heavy-handed. So they went back to way too saturated photos. They prioritized background blur. So they let you get to a pretty good minimum focus distance. So if you like macro photos, you can get pretty up close. And they blur the hell out of the background to the point where it looks pretty unnatural. And so I took some photos between that and the S10. And the S10 I thought looked better. I thought the colors actually looked better in this 10. I thought the blur or the background defocus was more gradual on the 10 versus the 20, which just blows everything out. It just looks ridiculously artificial. So I get why they did that on this 20. People love that bokeh, that background blur, that defocus. I think they went too far, even without their live mode, just regular auto mode. Too much priority on background blur, too much priority on saturation, and I actually think the S10 looks better. And that's funny because I think that's what the same thing about the V60 versus V50. I think the V60, you can't get as close, but when you do get close, it prioritizes background blur. It gets the colors all wrong. And that's why I like the V50 better. So I think phone cameras have actually gone backwards this year. I think the V50 looks better than the V60. I think the S10 looks better than the S20. Because people are chasing megapixels and they're playing around with their camera processing because of that. When you go high megapixel count, you have to do pixel binning. You have to combine multiple pixels into a single larger pixel to get the optimal amount of light and detail that you want in the shot. And that requires software processing. And so if you don't get that right, it's not going to look that good. And independently, it may look fine. But when you actually compare it, it does not look as good. So personally, I don't know how I got on that tangent, but I think last year's phone cameras look better. G4 was a long time ago. People need to let it go. I totally agree. Mi 10 Pro. No, I don't have the Mi 10 Pro. I wouldn't mind a Mi 10. Because I think Xiaomi is doing really good things with cameras this year. But I do not have their Mi 10. I probably will get it eventually. I don't have it now. Wireless headphones or earbuds are your driver or favorites? Hard to say. So depends is always my answer when what's your favorite for anything. And for audio, true wireless, I think if it's sound quality, I'll go with the Sony WF-XM 1000 XM3s. That's Sony's high-end true wireless earbuds that are now under $200. And for under $200, they are probably the best sounding wireless earbuds that you can get. Now, I have not had Sennheisers. I've not had the Sennheisers. I've not had the Clips. I've never had any of those. And from what I hear, the Sennheisers are even better. But for under $200, I don't think you're going to beat the Sony WF 1000 XM3s. And if you want to go closer in sound quality, but spend a little bit less, I would go with the Soundcore Liberty 2 Pros. I have those. They retail for $150 in the US, and they are almost always on sale. So for under $150, they're close to the Sonys, a little bit cheaper, get close to sound quality, same size. If you want to go for convenience, like portability, like smaller case, smaller buds, good all around, but not the best sound quality. I don't have the Galaxy Buds Plus, but I do have the Galaxy Buds, and I thought those were really good. Everyone hated on the Galaxy Buds, but I thought they're great because they are compact. They had good enough sound quality, great connectivity, and they were comfortable in my ears. And they're an in-ear bud, so they went deeper than the AirPods and had a better seal. But the Galaxy Buds Plus, from what I can see for other people, I don't have them. They say it's every bit as good as their regular buds, but they have better sound quality is about the same, but they have better battery life and they have better call quality. So better life and call quality and all around portability. You've got a Galaxy phone, Buds Plus. If you got a general Android phone or even a Pixel, I'll go Pixel Buds. I have the Pixel Buds. People are saying they're having a lot of problems with the Pixel Buds. I've not experienced any of that. And I think the Galaxy Buds are the AirPods and Buds Plus of Android. Very compact case, very portable, comfortable in the pocket, good enough sound quality. They create a seal in your ear if you use the right ear tips. Call quality is good, not amazing, but good enough. I mean, you're not gonna. I would never recommend taking long conference calls on wireless buds anyway. Battery life is pretty good too. So I think, and it uses Type-C plus wireless charging. So, in summary, if you're using an iPhone, I would take the regular AirPods, not the Pros, if you don't like all the way in ear and how that feels. That's a very good general bud because it's comfortable. It doesn't go all in your ear. It's great for phone calls, and you can keep them in a long time. If you want sound quality and you have an iPhone, get the Pros, AirPod Pros. If you have Galaxy phones, get the Buds Plus. If you have general Android phones or a Pixel, get the Pixel Buds. Best sound quality, get the Sony WF XM 1000 XM3s. Sorry, long-winded, but like I said, it depends. What do you think is better, iPhone 11 Pro versus LG V50 for video and photos? That's going to be the iPhone 11 Pro. Photos and videos all day. I will take the consistency of the iPhone 11 Pro over the LG V50. Now, that's not to say that the V50 cannot take good photos and videos. It can. You saw my video. It hopefully did. It can definitely take good photos and videos. But from a consistency standpoint, just point and shoot, just whipping it out and just snapping photos, just recording video with stability. Point and shoot and consistency, you're not going to beat the iPhone. You're not. If you're willing to mess around with manual mode and stuff, LG V series, definitely. Yeah, see, our dog, iPhone versus V50, like I said. Depends. Point and shoot, consistency, iPhone all day. Manual mode, V50. Or if you don't want to spend as much, $300 versus 1,000 plus V50 all day. Brian thinks OEMs are trying to get impressive zoom by digital plus optical and 8K video. Yeah, they up the megapixel count for sure. For a lot of people, they had nowhere to go but to get the bigger sensor, the higher megapixel count, throw up 8K, which is pretty much not very usable from what I've seen from a lot of phones. Or even if it is usable, you can't distinguish it from 4K because what the hell are you playing it on? So yeah, they're forced to play the numbers game because at this point, what else is there? But what else is there to me is improving your actual photo and video processing. Forget the high megapixel count, forget the 8K video, improve your processing because Pixel has set the standard for 12 megapixel sensors, old 12 megapixel, even using the same sensor for 3+ years. And their processing looks better than almost anything out there, at least for still photos. So it all comes down to right now, it's all computational photography, especially in the high megapixel count sensors, because those high megapixel count sensors are taking multiple pixels and combining them into a single pixel, which takes what? Software processing. So, and those algorithms are fairly new. And so not many people are doing it with great success, except for maybe Huawei, maybe Xiaomi, definitely not Samsung. So imagine if Google came out with a better sensor, hardware-wise, quote-unquote, better sensor, technically a better sensor, high megapixel count sensor, more capable hardware. And they would apply their software algorithms to get the most out of that hardware. Imagine that. What are they getting out of 12 megapixel sensors? Imagine them getting that out of higher and better quality hardware. That would be impressive. So you're right. I don't think people should be taught. The easiest thing to do is stick in the latest and greatest hardware. It's harder to get that to work with the best software. And not many people are doing that because it's not in their interest. It's easier to market numbers than to invest in the software piece of it that no one's going to care about. At least not what the masses will care about. Well, 8K is fine. I mean, if it's usable and the bit rate's there and the quality is fine, you can always use a tripod for now. That's what you had to do with 4K when the 4K came out. And you could produce some really great content. But from what I've seen, even the 8K stuff is not noticeably better than 4K. And the low bit rate stuff just looks terrible. Yeah, Art Dog just says they wish they concentrate on overall camera quality and make OIS standard. OIS is expensive. Hardware stabilization is expensive, and people don't want to pay for that. So it just depends on what you're paying for a phone. You should definitely pay attention to that. If you're paying more money for a phone, you should definitely get hardware stabilization, which is optical image stabilization, OIS, or at least some level of software stabilization. Because honestly, OnePlus is really good at software stabilization, EIS. They had it since the OnePlus 6, I believe. And it was pretty much every bit as good as the Pixel stabilization, which at one time was gimbal-like and industry-leading. Yet people want to dump on Pixel's video quality, which you get from a color science perspective. But Pixel stabilization has, from EIS perspective, has always been some of the best in the industry. All right. I think we went through all the comments. Been here for almost an hour and a half, which I thought was going to be 10 minutes. I really appreciate everyone for being here that even remotely this long. And I've talked through more stuff than I thought I had planned. I'm surprised nobody asked about the Poco phone. Most times I see people asking about the Poco phone, Poco F2. What else just came out? Xperia 1 Mark II I'm definitely going to have soon, so I hope to have some stuff on that. But let's see. I think we got through a lot. We got through the P40 Pro Plus. We got through the LG Velvet. We got through V50 versus V60. I want to try the S20 Ultra for sure. I want to try the S20 Ultra for myself because I just heard things indirectly about that. Obviously, we were dumping all over the camera, but I want to try it because here's one thing I will say about the S20 Ultra. I think it may be suffering from the same thing the V60 is, and no one's talking about the V60, so it's not really a big deal. High megapixel sensor. So minimum focusing distance is not going to be great on a 108 megapixel sensor, just like it's not great on LG's 64 megapixel main sensor. So my theory is that people are trying to get too close to a subject and it's not focusing properly. And you're not going to get a very good minimum focusing distance from a high megapixel sensor. It's just not happening on a smartphone. And if I can't do it on a 64 megapixel sensor on a V60, you're definitely not doing it on a 108 megapixel sensor on an S20 Ultra. So I think people are getting too close to whatever they're trying to shoot, whether it be their kids, whatever it is, and they're getting blurry photos. And I'll bet if they actually zoomed in and stepped back, they would get very good in focus photos, not as much background blur bokeh, but you'll still get some, just like the V60. And so I think if Samsung probably implemented like an auto zoom, if you got too close, that would probably help people autofocus the camera a little bit better. So for people who don't know what they're doing with the camera, don't know anything about manual mode, don't know anything about camera limitations, sensor limitations, they're just going to try to get whatever photo they're at. And most likely they're too close to their kid, they're too close to whoever they're taking a picture, and it's coming out blurry. And I'll bet if they either zoomed or stepped back, they'll get some pretty good photos out of that S20 Ultra. Because when I saw a lot of the early reviews from the S20 Ultra, they're from tech reviewers, and most tech reviewers probably know what they're doing with the cameras. And they're coming out pretty amazing from both front and back, because even the front is a 40 megapixel high megapixel sensor. And the pictures that I saw from the early reviewers who got review units were very good. But I think it's because they know what they're doing and the general public doesn't. And that's not the public's fault. You know, that's Samsung's fault for not accounting for that limitation in their software. And I bet you if they did, people would get better photos and they'd be a lot happier and you wouldn't have a lot of this crap about the Ultra. So I want to get the Ultra. I want to see what I can do with the Ultra. And if it really is a crappy sensor, or if it's just a hardware limitation that they're not accounting for, and you can still get freaking awesome photos from it. I bet you can get awesome photos from it without trying hard, if you just know what you're doing. And I don't know what I'm doing that much. I don't know anything about manual mode. But in playing around with high megapixel sensors, I'm starting to understand how to use them better in auto mode. All right. Vulcan Project. What's up, Grant? Yes. What's up, man? Appreciate you stopping by. Appreciate all the tweets of encouragement and everything else, even when I wasn't posting stuff. So appreciate you really supporting what I do here. Yeah. Okay with EIS, just tired of the camera jumping. Yeah. If you have good EIS and you shoot video, it's going to work out great. Art Dog has the Poco F2 Pro. And he thinks it's awesome. So I'm sure it is. I'm sure the Poco F2 is pretty great phone. I mean, it was a K30 Pro, and that thing looked really, really good. Even the cameras, Xiaomi is going to do good in cameras. And because it's a full display, you got that pop-up camera, I think it's pretty awesome. The only thing that I think could rival the Poco F2 Pro in price to value might be the Mi 19 Pro from last year, because you can get the Mi 19 Pro from last year for $400 or less, and that had the Snapdragon 855 and very close specs to the Poco F2. And people are comparing that stuff to the OnePlus 7 Pro, which is $500 if you can get it from OnePlus for the lowest end model. All good value. Yeah, some people aren't having trouble with the Ultra. And, it's always a squeaky wheel. If there's a few people having problems, you're going to hear about it. Versus if you're not having problems, you're probably not complaining. But there are definitely problems with the Ultra. There's enough people saying stuff about it. There's definitely problems. And I want to see if it's problems because of Samsung and how they implemented it, or it's just really unusable problems. I think it's the former. Yeah, it's not their fault out there. I don't think that it's never the person's fault. It's never who owns the phone's fault. It's how the manufacturer implements it. Because every phone camera to me should function as flawlessly as possible in auto mode. Because people are just going to open that camera and they're going to snap that photo. And it's never their fault for how that it comes out. It's never user error because that's how they're going to use it. If people use it and it sucks, it sucks. You know, Even if the hardware is capable, you're not making the hardware accessible to enough people who don't know what the hell they're doing. That's why I say I think a lot of reviewers know what they're doing, and so a lot of the early reviews were really good. I don't think that was those reviewers blowing smoke up people's asses. I think that was just because they knew how to use the camera and they're getting good results. Or maybe they got tips from Samsung, hey, do this or do that. But either way, I don't really think it was their fault. I just think it's maybe Samsung's fault for how they implemented the software and that exposed the limitations of the hardware when it got into normal people's hands. I definitely know much more. I am there's okay. Like I agree with one bag now. There is no average consumer to me. There is the consumer. There are different levels of a consumer. I am definitely a consumer. I buy 98% of all the stuff that I get on my channel. I almost get nothing for free. So I buy pretty much everything. So I am definitely a consumer. I'm just a more knowledgeable consumer. I think there's a lot of knowledgeable consumers out there doing YouTube. And a lot of them get stuff for free. So, they're just better at operating this stuff than most people and they get better results. And that's natural. I don't think that's their fault. They just might not think that, hey, people don't use stuff this way. So maybe I should think about it differently. You do it so long that you're just ingrained in how you use stuff. Um, I'm probably still like that, but I do think about that. I do realize that, people probably, even though I buy my stuff, I'm a consumer, you know, most people who buy the same stuff aren't going to think about it the same way that I do. But I just like to present it however I can because that's what I know. I try to take into account to other perspectives. But I feel if I stay consistent, then people can formulate their own opinions based off of how they see things, how they use things, and adjust that or marry that against how I see things and use things. And they can come out with, good information from what I put out. Because like I said, I don't agree 100% with what other reviewers say, but if they're consistent, I know what they think, what their preferences are. I know what I think. I know what my preferences are. I can marry the two and I can come out with a good opinion. So sometimes if a reviewer thinks the way I do, I go, hey, if they like it, I'll probably like it. If a reviewer doesn't think the way I do, but I know how they're thinking, I can go, hey, if they don't like certain aspects, I'll probably like it. And so I don't think you have to agree with anyone. I just think that you have to present it in a fairly consistent way and just constantly talk about why you're saying what things you're saying. That way people are informed about your opinion and they can make their own based on their own preference. But what else is out there? I feel 2020 has been a bit slow. Everyone's speculating about the Pixel 4a, the Pixel 5. Note 20 Ultra is a big topic nowadays, it seems, which seems a bit boring and predictable from Samsung, which is not bad. I'm sure it'll be great, but that thing will probably be north of $1,500. So that's the problem with Sony phones in general. I had an argument with Danny Winget over how good his Sony camera reviews are versus how average everybody else's are. I think it depends. Sorry. I can now see how people struggle on these live streams. Talking for an hour and a half is hard. But yeah, Sony phones, I would normally agree with you. But this year is going to be interesting because normally the majority of reviewers, even the ones who get the Sony phones for free, will totally dump on Sony phones. Like last year, especially when the Xperia 1 came out, that was pretty much panned by most of the reviewers who got review units. And this year, the Mark II is getting primarily very good reviews across the board, even by very respected reviewers. But reviewers are very critical and know their stuff about smartphone cameras, like Juan Bagnell. He seems to like the Xperia 1 Mark II, but he's very careful in saying why. And so he's coming in from a camera enthusiast, someone that knows pro cameras, and he's using the pro camera app, which is how Sony is advertising this thing. So that's when I get it. I'm going to do it from their default Android camera app. I'm going to do it from auto mode from their pro camera app. I'm going to see. But I don't know. I think Danny tends to be pretty honest in what he says. I watch his stuff. And again, like I said, he is a very knowledgeable person. He knows the ins and outs of cameras. Like I'll take an example. His LG V60 4K cinema video was incredible. But he knew to color correct that video. Now, how many people who buy the V60 are going to know to color correct a 4K 60 frames per second video because it's logged in the wrong color? Pretty much no one, unless you're a pro camera person. So was that a bad review? No, I think that was his honest review, and he knew how to color correct that thing. I wouldn't know how to color correct that thing. And so I wouldn't do it. I would just dump it on my computer. It looks good on the phone. You dump it on the computer and it looks terrible. The blues are way blown out. Everything, the colors are way off. So I think Danny tells his truth, honestly. And I don't think he's misleading people, but I get where you're coming from because he's a much more knowledgeable camera person and he's going to correct and compensate where necessary. And most people probably will not do that. Definitely not me. But I've been watching Danny for years, back when he was a small channel. And I think he reviews stuff to where he thinks is right. And that's not me being PC. I really think that. I agree. If auto mode sucks, then the camera's considered a fail. I don't want to go into manual mode every single time to get a decent photo. Yeah, I think manual mode is there when you have the time and you can do it. But in moments that matter in life, when you're taking photos of your family, photos of your kids, photos when you have only a couple seconds to get the shot, you're not going to be able to go into manual mode. I don't care what people say. I don't care how good people are. People are saying, oh, but I know manual mode. It takes me a couple seconds, few seconds. Yeah, a few seconds and the shot's gone. So I've been there. I know family members who have pro cameras. They try to take family photos and they miss the shot because they're messing around with goddamn controls. And we have a bunch of family members, especially kids or even adults. They're fidgeting. You're not going to get the best camera shot if you're messing with manual mode. You're just going to go in auto. You're going to take a burst shot. And you're going to take the best one. And God forbid you have kids, because if you have kids, I don't have kids. My sister just had my niece, she's a year old. I went home a couple times to go see them. I took a bunch of pictures, and Pixel took the best picture. I just took a bunch of shots in auto mode, burst mode, and I got some fantastic shots. That's all you got. So yes, auto mode for moments that matter. That's what it's for. Which pixel is the most exciting to me? The most exciting to me is the best pixel. And so it's hard to say, right? Because for me, full disclosure, I've been getting the Pixel for free since the Pixel, I think 3A. I got the 3A, I got the 4XL. And they've been great. I've had no legitimate gripes with the Pixels, because I like stock Android. I like clean interfaces. I like good auto mode cameras, and that's what the Pixel delivers. Even the Pixel 4, Pixel 4 XL. I heard people not liking the Pixel 4 and 4 XL camera as much, but I'm like, it looks pretty freaking good to me. And I've taken a ton of photos on those things. I took that on my family vacation to Japan, and I've got some phenomenal photos out of the Pixel. I have pixels hanging on my parents' wall from the Pixel, canvas prints. So, yeah, I think the Pixel takes very good photos, even to the 4 and 4 XL. It's going to come down to price to value. Will determine the best pixel for quote unquote you. So if you have a price point, I can give you the best pixel depending on the best deal available. The thing is that you can manipulate results to make the video camera review look great no matter if you're sponsored or just favor one brand or another. Then the average user buys the phone. Yes, I agree. That's why I said, like I said, Danny and his LG V60 cinematic 4K 60 video, he shot it in 4K 60 and he exported and color corrected that video to get the best result. He acknowledged that. Now, who's going to know to do that? Even if he says it, I don't know. Maybe pro camera people looking at pro camera phones. But I swear to God, if you've got a pro camera like a Sony A7 III or something like that, I swear to God, you're not using your smartphone to take the photos that you really care about. But if you did, you would probably get the best camera phone with pro options. But for everyday people, no one's buying LG V60. I'm going to shoot in 4K 60 and then know to color correct. Nobody. I don't care. Like 1%. Right? So I totally agree. But he was very upfront about what he did. So I don't have a problem with it. Now, I don't even know how he did what he did. So I just shoot my video, I export it out, and what you get is what you get. Because that's me. I'm not as knowledgeable, and I want to just show straight from the camera results. Even if I knew how to do manual mode, I'll disclose that stuff and say, this is what you can get full out of the manual. So I figure as I keep doing this, I'll probably get interested in getting the most of the camera. I'll get interested in the manual stuff, and I'll disclose that. I'll say, hey, this is what you get from auto, and this is what you get from full manual to get the best possible out of your camera. I doubt I'll ever get there, but I'm not that interested because I'm not that interested. If I'm going to do that, I'm going to get a real camera. I'm not going to mess around on a smartphone camera with that stuff. Because if you got time to compose a shot, you got time to have a very good camera system. And it's not going to be a phone. I find the 3A to be just as good as a 3 and a great deal for half the money. I just wonder how the 4A will compare with the 5 outside of the number of lenses. Yeah, I agree. If you're just looking at the camera and you're not judging it from a maxed out performance standpoint, the 3A, I agree, takes phenomenal photos. Like I said, I don't have a Pixel where I've hated the photos. Even the Pixel 1. I know reviewers who dogged the Pixel 1, and that's their opinion. I took the Pixel 1 to New York City, and I've got some, just point and shoot, I've got some crazy photos. And it's not just my opinion. I've shown it to other people, and they're like, what the hell did you take that on? they didn't believe it was a phone. So I've not met a Pixel that did not take great still photos. And the 4A, yeah, we'll have to see, right? We'll have to see if Google ever decides to release the 4A and the 5, how that's going to compare. But Google does crazy things. I don't know how many pro photographers use their phones for that purpose either. I'm not a pro photographer. I've never claimed to be a pro photographer. I think I'm like in the middle somewhere. I'm definitely not the average Joe off the street who just wants to snap a photo. I'm definitely a mobile photography enthusiast. I like photo walks with my smartphone. That stuff like decompresses me. I love the experience. I love doing that thing. And I love seeing what the phones can do in auto mode. And I've gotten better at it over time because I've taken a lot of photos. I've honestly never read about how to take better photos. I figure learning by doing is the best. Experimenting by different shots, different lighting, different angles is always the best way. So that's how I do my photo stuff. So I think I'm in the middle. I don't think I'm in the bottom where I'm just walking down the street taking a photo, because I've just had so many phones and taken so many pictures, and I like doing it. But I definitely don't think I'm a pro or even close to anything close to a pro. I know nothing about manual mode. I know nothing about camera technology. I know nothing about camera manual settings. I know generically about them. I can talk generically about it, but I'm not going to talk about it because I'm not a pro person and I don't want to sound stupid. I can make general statements about it, but I don't want to speak on something that I'm not firsthand an expert on. So everything I do on my camera stuff is auto, and that's just from like how many years of just taking smartphone photos. But I like taking the best possible photo for my reviews because, you know, it's a video on YouTube, and I want to make it. I want the photos to look as good as they can, even if they're in auto mode. I think it's more entertaining that way than seeing a photo of some, no offense to anyone who does this. I'm not taking shots. But, seeing photos of someone's backyard or, some, I don't know, generic photo, right? Just a random shot. It's not as interesting as if you try to take the best possible photos you can. All right, Vulcan Project thinks I am better than most YouTubers out there and that my style is what we need because I live taking photos on my phone, but I follow exactly 0 proper photography photo channels. I don't know. I think there's a lot of photo channels that you could follow, man. That with integrity, that take good photos, without looking like sellouts. But I appreciate that. All right, let's see. Oh, but the one thing the new Sony point and shoot, that Sony ZV-1. I know it's hyped up, and it's not the cheapest thing out there. But for what it packs and what it's giving you, comparing it to Sony's RX100 lineup, that ZV-1 looks very good. I'm definitely considering getting that thing because I have an old RX100 Mark III, and I love that thing for its portability. I take that on any of my travels because I'll take my best smartphones and I'll take that thing because I want things that fit in my pocket. And that RX100 was very good. But the ZV-1, we'll see. I think it's probably better for video than photography. So. But for the price, it's cheaper than an RX100. Supposedly gives you better video quality from that scene and has much more convenient features for creators, quote unquote. Right? It has a product shot where you get the nice intentional background blur, the extreme bokeh. Um, that defocus mode seems easy to use, has a flip out screen, and it's cheaper than RX 100. So I don't know if everybody cares about cameras that much, but that ZV-1, it does look hyped up, but it does look pretty good. Any other phones anyone's interested in? We talk about the high-end stuff. Like there's a lot of cheaper phones, like a lot of the Xiaomi stuff. The Redmi phones, Note 8 Pro, 9S, 9 Pro, 10X. That nobody here in the US really knows about. I see some reviewers, popular reviewers, talking about Redmi phones now. But if you look at the US retail market, there's really not much. I mean, there is Samsung, who's officially selling the A51 for $500, which is crazy because that thing is under $300 if you were willing to buy the international version. And the A71, which they just released the 5G version for $600 or $600, I think, when you can buy them for under $400 if you buy the international version. And you've got the TCL 10 Pro at $450 here in the US. But phones from Xiaomi that are $200 or less, that are just as good or better, and probably a bunch of others that no one here in the US has ever heard of. You know, is the US quote unquote budget market really that great? There's a Moto line. Moto's always been here in the US, even though that's now a Lenovo company. But the US does not have many options in the lower price tier market. You've got Motorola, who's always been there, and you've got Samsung, who has started to release their A phones. And what else? TCL is starting to step into that market since OnePlus decided to exit it until maybe their OnePlus C comes out. There's really nothing here in the US. So I think that's a very interesting market that's up for grabs right now because no one hears about these other phones that you can import from China. And you don't have to import them. You can buy them from US reseller channels. Amazon carries these phones. It's not like I'm going through hoops calling someone from China and getting the phones. You can just go to Amazon and buy them here in the US. Just that no one knows about them. How much money do I need to spend on a good body lens for simple YouTube stuff, mainly videos? I mean, good autofocus stabilization and possibly no overheating in 4K. Well, that's not Sony because Sony will always overheat in 4K. Probably a good Canon camera. But if I'm being honest, just use your cell phone. Like, if you've already invested into a cell phone, it's probably going to be fine for what you do on YouTube. Like I said, depends on the shots. If you're doing a top-down product shot, I would just use a cell phone because, and honestly, okay, it depends on what phone. If you invest into an iPhone, I would definitely use that iPhone because iPhone has not just good video, it has good autofocus. And if you're just doing top-down product shots, it's going to be incredible. But if you want to buy an actual camera, and I'll admit, I'm not an actual camera guy. I've got a Panasonic G7. That's what I'm streaming on right now. I've got a Lumix G7 connected to a cam link, and that's what I'm streaming on right now. That is the top quality video that you ever see on my channel. I don't know much. I don't have first-hand experience on mirrorless cameras, except for what I see online. So if I said good autofocus, the best, if autofocus was important because you do product stuff, I would get Sony or Canon because Sony or Canon have the best autofocus from what I see right now. And if you're on a budget, I'll get Canon. I'll get an SL3, I'll get an M50, and be done with it. I watch Indian-based channels for more affordable Chinese company phones. Yeah, and you should, but that's where they distribute a lot of these phones, right? They have resale channels in India for these phones. They don't have that here in the US, and for obvious reasons. So, because if the US ever let these companies have distribution channels, either wholesale or through carriers, a lot of major phone manufacturers who have a foothold here in the US would have problems. Oppo's always expensive, Vivo always expensive because they're cutting edge. So I would imagine in other markets they have trouble too. But once their designs and concepts get reused into their lower tier stuff, like Realme and affordable stuff, that's when they start getting interesting. Huawei too. Huawei tried to do it here in the US with Honor, right? Nothing that sounds Chinese for like we're gonna be Honor here in the US, and that didn't take hold. Xiaomi, if Xiaomi could do it, it would kill it because I think Xiaomi probably has the best set of phone offerings of 2020 from a overall perspective, right? Huawei has the bleeding edge stuff, Oppo has the bleeding edge stuff, but from an overall price to value, great phone, Xiaomi and any of its brands. I'm talking Xiaomi, I'm talking Poco, I'm talking Redmi. Any of their brands probably have the best phones this year. I think the Mi Note 10 probably beat out the S20 Ultra for the 108 megapixel sensor. It had a version of that 108 megapixel sensor for what was it, $400? So that's like a quarter of the price. And the Redmi lines have just killed it. So I think Xiaomi, probably from an overall perspective, to this point, has had the best phones in 2020. But if you're talking the narrow-minded US market, everyone's just talking iPhone SE. And it's a good phone. If you want an iPhone and you want to upgrade, you want the fingerprint sensor, you want the home button, you don't want to spend a lot of money, you don't find a smaller phone, that is a good phone. And Brian North seems to agree with me. So, but, and I'm not a proponent of looking at phone sales, but phone sales wise, I believe number one has been Galaxy A51 worldwide. And number two has been Redmi Note 8 Pro. So worldwide, globally, if we think about it, people are yearning for more affordable devices that don't suck. And the only thing about the A51 that doesn't suck, but it's not great, is that it lags. I don't hear a lot of people talking about the A51 lag. The A51 lags. But for the price, depending on what you're paying for it, might be forgivable. For $500 in the US, hell no. I would not pay for the A51 for $500. Do not do it. If you're considering paying for the A51 in the US because it's here in the US, it has the US warranty, do not pay $500. Buy the international model for less than $3. Save money. You don't get the warranty, but you get what you pay for. What else is being released? Stylo 6. I'm not interested in Stylo 6. Anybody interested in Stylo 6? And by the way, Vulcan Project. He has a YouTube channel. He covers more obscure phones. He just released a video on the Mi Mix 2S, so definitely go check out his channel. Yeah, this is always the debate, right? Audio versus video. And you know what? Most people will tell you go with a better audio setup first than video, and I think I would agree. Like, it's hard to get the right audio together. Like to get the right mic, to get the right how you set up that mic. It's a pain, man. And it does matter. It really does matter. I've been through several mics. I was using just the mic that came on my smartphone, which is fine. Then I heard the difference between that and a lav mic, $20 lav mic, and it was tremendously better. Then I tried to get fancy with a Boyum lav mic. It was a little bit more expensive and it sucked. And then I went to a DD lav mic, which is in the last few videos, which I thought was pretty good. And this is the Blue Yeti, and I think this is the best yet. But I'm not going to do this for every video. Talking head, I might do it, but live streams definitely. But it's a big mic. I'm not going to use that for every video. So audio for sure. People like good audio. They want to be able to hear you. I thought that was bullshit at first, but I think it's true. I think people want to be able to hear you clearly. And then after that, because when you think about it, the next best video option isn't bad. If you're using your phone, you're probably not have the worst video in the world. But you can have pretty bad audio. Goron is awesome. He's been here forever. Goron's been with me since the channel started. So I always thank Goron for sticking with me, even though I probably suck and I haven't done any videos. So he says, how can a phone in 2020 with 1800 milliamp hours and 4.7 inch be the best in any category? And I'm assuming he's talking about the iPhone SE. And it can be the best in the category. The category is Apple. Apple by price. Is the best iPhone? No. And here's the thing. There's so many people that jumped on comparing that new iPhone SE or the revamped iPhone 8 to an iPhone 11, a 10R to 11, and that misses the whole point to me. You're not going to compare this SE to anything from an iPhone 10 and up. It makes no sense. Because the people who want this iPhone SE are people who don't want the new design. They don't want Face ID. They want the home button. They want fingerprint ID. And they actually want a smaller display, a smaller compact size. And they even think this SE is too big for them because they liked the smaller original SE. That's who this is for. This is the final pull for Apple. There's a lot of people that they pulled along with the 10R, the 11, the 11 Pro, 11 Pro Max. A lot of Apple people bought those. There is a good percentage of the Apple user community who didn't buy any of those phones because they didn't want the full screen display. They didn't want Face ID. They didn't want to pay higher prices. They wanted a home button. They wanted the older design. They wanted Touch ID. And maybe they wanted a smaller phone. And believe it or not, there's a lot of people like that. And so that's who Apple is serving with this iPhone SE. And they want to pull the long tail, the final portion of that long tail along. And so that's who it's for. And so it's not for the tech nerds. And it's not for any of those people. And I can confidently say this because I personally know people who are like this. There are people who are still viewing and commenting on my iPhone 8 Plus unboxing. And I interact with them. I ask them, why do you still like this phone? They said, oh, because I just bought this phone. I'm waiting for it to be delivered. And I asked them, why did you buy this phone? And they say, because A, price, I don't want to pay $1,000. I don't want to pay $600. I don't want to pay $500. I want the home button. I don't want this Face ID stuff. So there's a lot of people who want this older design and lower price. That's who it's for. And it's a generic answer, but it's, in my experience, is very much true. Yes, I know you have a YouTube channel, and yes, I watch your videos. I may not comment on every single video because I'm watching a ton of YouTube videos. So, and honestly, man, I've tried to keep up. I've tried to keep up on Twitter. I've tried to keep up on Instagram and YouTube on everybody's channels. And what I found out is that takes way too much time. So in the last week, I've totally gone off Twitter. I post deals every now and then. I like things every now and then, but I'm not heavily engaged on Twitter. Twitter, I found, does a lot of negative things. It does a lot of negative things on my mental psyche. It does a lot of negative things on my time. And I hope people out there know that it's not because I don't support them. I support all creators. I support everyone that I normally talk to and converse with. But I think I'm consciously going to make a decision to pull back because it's just negative. It's overall negative. I get a lot of positive, but it's overall net negative from me. From a mental standpoint, from a time standpoint. And I just feel better when I'm not on Twitter. So, yeah. But YouTube, I'm watching as much as I can. I comment where I can, you know. But yes, I watch your stuff, man. All right, I think we've probably covered everything. At this point, we're on for 2 hours, which again, I thought I was gonna be on for 10 minutes, but for the 7 you who are still on here, appreciate you guys still sticking around. And let me know. Let me know if there's anything else you want me to cover in the channel. I thought long and hard about it, and I've thought about paring it down to just camera stuff, smartphone camera stuff, niching down like people say you should do. And then after seeing the performance in the last 3 videos, I thought, you know what, YouTube, after me taking a break, sees me as a probably brand new channel, and they just don't give a crap. So I'm just probably going to keep posting when I want to post. I'm going to post camera comparisons. I'll post unboxings. I'm going to try to post more opinionated videos and stuff. So if there's anything outside of smartphones, let me know. Like I used to do Bluetooth speakers. I try to do a little bit more headphones, earbuds, because I like that stuff, but I don't think I could have done it justice, so I kind of pulled back on that stuff, even though some of it did pretty well. But let me know what you want to see outside of smartphones if you care. And overall, I'm glad. I think this live stream came out pretty well. Most of the people not been having a problem with the video or audio, so good stuff. Maybe I'll try to do some more of this stuff. It's just most people I know stream from like the East Coast, which is 3 hours ahead, or Central Time, which is 2 hours ahead. And usually when they're doing stuff and they invite me on, I'm like at dinner or, family time or whatever. So like West Coast in the US I'm better off either probably later. So not this late, but later. Twitter has gotten political. Yes, it has. It's gotten pretty toxic to this point. So I've tried to hang on. I want to support people, but I've just made a decision. I'm going to just take a step back and see how I feel. And I feel a hell of a lot better after being probably 90% less on Twitter than I have been for last week. Goran, I appreciate this. You're one nice guy I respect the most. You do whatever you need to be you do whatever you need to be better and feel better. I try. Phones are imperfect and expensive now, and they don't deserve attention. No, but I love this stuff. I think you're all here because you love this stuff. And so, like I said, I have so much product, tech stuff, phones and other stuff that I don't show on my channel that I have and that I get because I like it, not because I'm giving it. I get almost nothing for free, but I get it because I'm fortunate enough to get it and I like it. And like I said, I started this channel because I want to share that, and I haven't been able to share like even 20% of what I got. So because I'm trying to make it too perfect, or I'm trying to make it too whatever. I'm getting my own head, and like, what if I get something wrong? And I think I really thought about that. I'm like, it's not about getting it right or wrong. It's about getting your right thought and opinion up. Right or wrong, it's my perspective. And so it doesn't have to be 100% right, accurate, factual. Correct stuff where you can, but so that's where I've come to figure this stuff out. I don't have to be 100% technically right. I'm not trying to be. I'm not trying to be an expert. I'm not coming at it from an expert perspective. I'm coming at it from someone who buys a ton of crap and I just want to share it. And I don't have to be 100% right, even 80% right. I just have to be 100% right in my opinion. So I think that's where I'm going to come from. All right. Let me know if you're still here. Give me a thumbs up. I want to see who's still here. There's 6 people. I'm not sure how much longer I'm going to go, but if you have any questions, let me know. I'm glad to stay on. I'm glad to talk about stuff. If there's stuff you want to talk about, let me know. Otherwise, I'll just shut this thing down. Because, like I said, I thought I was going to be on for 10 minutes and mess around, and it's been 2 hours. So I can definitely see how people can live stream for a while because, if you got good people on like you, asking good questions, you can just keep going. Oh yeah, Goran says, what about the new HTCs? That didn't come through StreamYard yet, but new HTCs, yes. HTC announced the HTC Desire Pro and the U20 Pro, Goran? I saw it, and they pretty much have what you call quote unquote mid-range specs. They're pretty much equivalent to, or even better than what you'd see in like a TCL 10 Pro, better than the Mi 10 Lite, something like that. And they're releasing it only in Taiwan, which makes sense because that's where HTC is based, and HTC doesn't have a lot of. They don't have a lot of funds. They don't have a lot of juice. They don't have a lot of distribution power. So it makes sense. The problem that I have with it is that if you look at the phones, they look like any other phone. They've got almost a full front display. They got a little bit of chin at the bottom. They've got the hole punch at the top. They've got the same camera module in the back. They've got 700 series, 600 series processors. Pretty big batteries from what I see. So right in line with a lot of the top end, what people consider quote unquote mid to high tier phones this year. But they don't look like HTC. They look very uninspired. And because of that, I'm leaning towards that. I think because HTC sold off their mobile divisions to Google, and they've been mainly focused on a lot of their AI stuff and their hologram stuff, that these phones are probably white label phones that some other company made and they just slapped their name on it. I wouldn't be surprised if that was the case, which is really sad. If that was the case, I'd be really sad because HTC used to be that innovative company, that supplied phones to other people to slap their names on. And if HTC was just licensing their name out now, I'd be really sad. But it looks that way because it looks like anybody other's phone. It doesn't look like an HTC made phone. Nothing new. Looks like every other phone you can just buy off of some reseller channel, just distribute and slap her name on. So if that's the case, I'd be really sad. But I wouldn't be surprised just because of where HTC moved their whole mobile division out. They don't have a mobile division unless they rehired a bunch of people quietly, in which case you would hope they'd come out with something better than this. First off, thanks, Brian. I always appreciate anybody coming in. Appreciate you sticking out here. Sony seems to be popular with Mark II. A long time since Sony had so many positive reactions. That's what I said. Before you came on, Garon, I was saying, this was probably the first time that I've seen any Sony major phone primarily positive reviews out the gate. So that tells me one of two things. Either Sony actually beefed up their marketing dollars here in the US and globally, which I doubt, or they actually came out with a really great phone and fixed camera problems. But I think the truth is in between somewhere. I think the truth is that Sony did improve their phone, and they improved their phone where a lot of the camera enthusiast reviewers would appreciate, like in manual mode, in pro mode, and that's where they're reviewing it. And they think they see a lot of improvement, which makes sense because that's where they focused with the Sony Alpha team. But did they improve it for everyday people, which they're not marketing it to, so they don't have to? But did they improve it for anyone that's going to pick this up off the street? That's where I have doubts, and that's how I'm going to review this thing. So I know you like to watch Juan Bagnell a lot. I would highly encourage you watch his stuff. I do, and I respect his reviews. I respect his opinion because there's a lot of people blowing smoke up people's butts because they get stuff for free. But folks like Juan, I trust their opinion because he gets it for free, but he knows what he's talking about. He doesn't change his opinion because of it. So, but he reviews it from a very advanced person's perspective, and he reviews it from what the manufacturer is claiming. And Sony's claiming this is an advanced pro camera, and that's how he's reviewing it. And I don't disagree with probably what he's saying. Now, will it hold up in my review just using it in auto as a normal person, which again, Sony is not advertising, but I think it will lend a different perspective. And I agree with him. See, he feels like somebody else is manufacturing their phones for the U12. There's no official info about, but something is definitely changed for the worse. Yeah. I do think HTC is not manufacturing their new phones. I could be wrong. It's just my opinion. Joseph Erickson asks how I'm doing. I'm doing great. I hope you're having a good weekend too, Joseph. It's pretty early in the morning for me here in California in the US, but where are you from? Let me know. Hope you're having a great weekend too. Yeah, U20 made in Taiwan. Well, it's being distributed in Taiwan. I'd be really interested where it's actually made and who's making it. But yes, it makes sense that they're releasing it only in their home country. How's the weather out here? It's actually pretty warm. Summer's officially started, so we've been having weather's been during the day probably the 90s. But since I'm in Northern California, we have a little bit cooler climate in the evening. So, right now it's probably hopefully in the 60s, maybe lower. But during the day, we got like 90-degree weather here. How about you? Yeah. Okay. So it's closing in on 2 a.m. here. If you want Taiwanese phone, get Asus. I don't know. Is it Asus or is it Asus? I don't know. I've always said Asus. Then I've heard people calling it Asus. I have no idea. But their phones seem to have been getting better. I've not gotten any of their latest phones. But they've been getting closer to stock Android, which I like. But see, Costa, you get cool stuff in Australia. How's the Australian market right now for mobile phones? Anything you guys got with any of the recent Oppo announcements or anything else? Because I'll admit, when I went to, I did take a vacation down to Australia, and I did buy a couple phones while I was there probably 3-4 years ago. Because you can't just walk into the store and get those phones. Like I bought an Oppo phone, I bought the Nokia 8 there. You couldn't just walk into a store and get a Nokia 8 here at the time. So I was definitely geeking out there. There are a lot of stuff I could not just go into. Best Buy is the most popular retail channel here in the US store. Definitely could not walk into Best Buy and get any of those phones or even see or hold any of those phones. So it was very cool. Just like Japan. When I went to Japan, Tokyo blew my mind. You could see any phone there. I went to one of their major electronic stores. They had everything, not just Apple, not just Samsung. They had Huawei, they had Oppo, of course, they had Sony, and they had everything you could imagine in the store for you to try out, hold, try. It was crazy. I love Japan. Oh, Joseph's here on the West Coast. It's 2 a.m., man, and you're here. I appreciate that. Why are you up at 2 a.m. in Oregon? And while he thinks about that, what are my thoughts on the 8 and 8 Pro? I don't have the 8. I have the 8 Pro. I'll do videos on it because, like I said, I've got a ton of stuff you haven't seen on the channel. The 8 Pro is very good. For $1,000, it depends. If you're deciding between an 8 Pro and a Samsung S20, 8 Pro is a little bit cheaper. Depends on how you feel about cameras. I get the 8 Pro. Hardware-wise, the 8 Pro is awesome. Everything about it. Hardware, display is great because, you've got that 2K 120 hertz display, and I do think 120 hertz makes a difference. It's not make or break, but it does make a difference. Performance, just like any other OnePlus phone, is awesome. Battery life is good, pretty good. Not the best, but pretty good. And cameras, it's good. It's not great. The macro cameras on the OnePlus 8 Pro are impressive. I've got some pretty impressive close-up macro photos from that 8 Pro. Wide angle is not bad. Main shooter is not the best, but it's definitely above average. So, if you like closer stock, you like performance, you like pretty good cameras, OnePlus 8 Pro is pretty good. And it's cheaper at a retail price than the S20 lineup. HTC Market U20 has made in Taiwan. Okay. But it wasn't made by HTC. US creates the same design. Yeah, but that's globally. At this point, most people are just creating the same thing over and over. And yeah, like I said, 2 a.m., man. I don't know why any of us are still up. What's with the Pixel 4a? Will appear in the end, too close to Pixel 5. So Google's, no, they're going to have to release this 4a, man. They will have to release this 4a. There's been too much leaked about it. It's definitely a thing. We've seen that's already manufactured and boxed. It is definitely a phone. For them not to release it, they're going to take some losses because they've already definitely manufactured some and have them ready to ship. So they're going to lose some if they don't send it out. And if they relabel that as a 5, that will be even worse. I think it'd be in the marketing nightmare. So they're going to have to release it. And yeah, I agree. The longer they hold on to it, closer to the 5 release. So does this mean the 5 is going to be delayed too? It has to be because you would not. Okay, I'm not going to say has to be because Google does questionable things, and I would not put it by. I would not put by Google to do crazy things like release the 4a close to a 5. Yeah, see, Australia. A lot of affordable Chinese OEM phones, Xiaomi, Vivo, Oppo, Huawei, Nokia, Realme. Yeah, all that stuff not available here. But you guys get killed in pricing, so I'm sorry about that. But getting affordable options now, that's good. A lot of low to mid tier LG stuff. They have to be selling somewhere because they're not selling here. So Joseph has the OnePlus 6T and the 7 Pro. And he loves them because the pricing is absolutely good. I really like OnePlus. Yes. If you've got the 6T, and especially if you have the OnePlus 7 Pro, Those are extremely good phones. 7 Pro, still a very good phone. And cameras seem to be improving. And like I said, I've seen some phenomenal results from the OnePlus 7 Pro camera from people like Dave West. And he uses Gcam, but he also uses stock app. And they come out really, really good. If you know what you're doing, you can get some really good photos from that 7 Pro. Definitely above average and extremely good for the cost. So 7 Pro for sure. That's why I'm saying the OnePlus 8, again, my personal opinion, it only came out, and this is a US perspective because OnePlus wanted to get into the carrier market here in the US. The OnePlus 8 is only available in carrier. You cannot get it through their website. They made it for the carriers. They made it to get into more carriers like Verizon. And they're charging more than they should because it's a carrier phone. And doesn't provide much more over the 7T other than 5G, which nobody really cares about. So the OnePlus 8 pretty much makes no sense unless you're a consumer who has no idea about phones. But at the same time, if you have no idea about phones, you're not going to buy the OnePlus 8 on Verizon. So I don't know. Now the 8 Pro, there is a significant difference, I think. But is it enough over the 7 Pro to justify the price difference? No, absolutely not. I do like the form factor. It's narrower, and if you hold it, you will definitely probably appreciate that. But it's still not enough of a price difference to justify that. You're gonna buy the 8 Pro. Yeah, I mean, it's a good phone. It's just like I said, personal decision if it's worth the extra money for everyone. If you sell your 7 Pro, you're not spending that much on the 8 Pro anyway. And technically it's a better phone, unless you really want that full display. Okay. Any last minute questions? Getting here about 2.5 hours. We'll probably shut it down. But I'm impressed. 7 to 8 people have constantly been here. So I do appreciate you guys since this was just me messing around. I have a question. Would you guys show up to a regular live stream? If I announced this and I scheduled this at a regular time, would you guys show up? I'm assuming you would because you showed up for this random stream, but I'm just curious. Nokia's pretty cocky. There's something, it seems, something that might surprise us. I'll admit, I've not followed HMD Global since the last peer review, since the Nokia 8 peer review. So if they have something up their sleeve for the 9 peer review, I would be all over that. But honestly, I've not heard anything. I've not followed anything about Nokia. So let me know if there's anything interesting brewing at Nokia Grand specifically, or if this is just your hunch on what might be coming. But I'm a like Sony. So like Sony, I have a very soft spot for Nokia, right? So I've had a lot of Nokia phones, a lot of Sony Ericsson stuff for a long time, or Sony electronics for a long time. CD players, cassette players, Walkmans. So I have a soft spot for Sony. I have a soft spot for Nokia. So, if they come out with anything, I'm probably all over it, but it's only because I've been a long-time consumer. Costa thing is funny that we go for 3 hours. I mean, if there's questions, if people really have questions, they want to really legitimate talk about something, I will keep going. I'm fine. But I don't just want to keep going just to keep going. So, like, if people really have stuff to talk about, they're curious, or just to shoot, they want questions, or they just want to shoot the shit, we can just keep talking. I've been pretty late out lately, so I'm still feeling okay. I don't mind going, but I don't want to just drag it out. Supposedly, the first phone in-display camera, first gen, anything questionable. Yeah, oh yeah, that's true. I did hear about this a while ago. This is a while ago. Nokia may have the first in-display camera on the front-facing phone. So instead of that cutout, they'll have it under the display. Maybe. I don't see Nokia that way. I don't see HMD Global that way. To be on the bleeding edge of tech, but I wouldn't doubt if they were to license it from someone, right, and be the guinea pig for someone. I wouldn't doubt that. But for HMD to innovate something on their own, that doesn't seem like their thing. So yeah, you're right. Either way, it probably won't be the best. But do you care? Do you care about it in display camera on the front? Because what that'll mean is that you don't have a cutout on the front display, and you probably have a thinner letter phone because you don't have a pop-up camera. So is that something that's that exciting for you? How many people actually use the front camera? I don't. On a day-to-day, I'm gonna not say I'm not gonna use it. Yeah, I agree. Sony should revive the Walkman brand. Actually, don't they use the Walkman brand on some of their hi-fi stuff? They have hi-fi players that I'm pretty sure are branded as Walkman. It's just that no one uses. Not many people listen to hi-fi recorded music on hi-fi devices, much less Sony hi-fi equipment. But yes, that would be freaking cool because I love Sony, and I still remember my first Walkman. So, and they definitely have an audience for that, right? They have a generation of people who grew up on Walkman, and it doesn't have to be a hi-fi player. People don't even care about hi-fi players now. If they branded it as something and they call it a Walkman or licensed technology labeled as Walkman, they would definitely have a generation of people who remember that and who would be all over that. And I will say, in Japan, maybe not so much this time, but the previous time I went in a couple of years ago, or last year, 2 years ago. But the previous time, maybe 4 years ago, the first time I went to Japan, there were on the subway, there were a ton of Sony phones. And I'm presuming that was for business purposes because everybody had a Sony phone, but then a lot of people also had an iPhone. I'm assuming the iPhone was a personal device and Sony was probably their business device. But Sony is very much hugely still ingrained in Japanese culture. So I wonder why why they pretty don't care about the US market. They're selling TVs here in the US and that's good enough for them. It's nice and exciting, but secondary. If other characteristics are flawed, I don't care for in-display camera at all. Yeah, exactly. I think it's a cool thing, and there's practical reasons, right? You don't have the cutout. You have a probably thinner and lighter overall phone. But is it necessary? No. Is it cool? Yes. If it didn't cost me anymore, I would love to have it. Just like the Sony's 4K display. Do you need a 4K display? Do you need a 4K display on a phone? Outside the cool factor, I think it's cool. The crazy thing is that I have a lot of Sony products. It's just they charge a lot of money. Joseph, yes. Well, that's Sony. Sony views himself as a premium brand. They always have, right? Sony TVs, they cost a lot of money. Vio. Have you had a Sony Vio computer, laptop? They have been crazy expensive. But that's because Sony views himself as a premium brand, and they are. They are very much a premium brand. And they command a lot of money. But do they command that money in mobile and smartphones? Yes, in some markets, not here in the US. And if I live stream, I definitely would be definitely on board. You give really good information and definitely would love to hear your thoughts. Thank you, Joseph. I appreciate that. Because I just think if I ramble on here, no one's gonna care. Like, at least I would assume the 6 people who are still here are probably interested because they stuck it out for these last 2.5 hours. So, and I'm okay. I don't need to stream to a lot of people. I'm actually like a smaller audience because I can be here and answer every question. And that's what I want to do. I want to answer questions that people have legitimate, they want a legitimate response to. I want to be able to give people that time. So even if it's just a handful of people, I'll definitely like to keep doing this because it's fun. Because I don't get to converse in my day-to-day life on these topics. So if there's people interested in this stuff, legitimately care about what I have to say and want, I don't have all the answers. We can help each other out. That'd be interesting. Okay. On the Costa, we're at 2:36. If you want me to stand for 3 hours, you're gonna have to ask some questions or just whatever. How is it in Sydney though, man? In general, if you're still on, how are things in Sydney with everything going on? You guys returning back to normal life? You guys are out and about, beaches crowded. How's it going? Because here we're starting to reopen stuff, and in California, and yeah, I've got my concerns. So yeah, I'll totally do that, Joseph. I think if we get to know each other and what we all like, it'd be easier, right? Like I think all of us have more knowledge in some areas and less knowledge in others, and I think we all learn from each other. So I just feel I have something to offer because I have firsthand experience with a lot of different products. That's it. I'm not special in any other way other than I'm crazy and I buy a lot of stuff. And Goron is probably right. He feels like manufacturers are fogging us with secondary stuff, curves, hertz, shiny colors, 100 megapixel cameras. Invent new type of battery. Although, if it was good battery tech, that'd be good. Unbreakable glass, which I'm not so sure of, and something of essence. Yeah, you're right. Everyone's trying to market something. Everyone's trying to market a number, especially in camera tech now. This what is Samsung doing with their foldable glass? What's it called? Not indestructible glass, ultra thin glass, UTG, right? They market. They have a term for this. They have a term, UTG, ultra thin glass. And so if it bends, it's not glass, it's plastic, and it has like glass kind of potential fibers somewhere in it, but it's not real glass. Let's face it. But they market it that way. So like, holy crap, they can bend glass. I got to try that. No. But I must say, their Galaxy Fold, their first Galaxy Fold, I'm going to say is better than their first reviewers got, because I'm assuming they got really bad devices. But better than they let on to be, because anybody that I know who spent their money on this thing, and yeah, they may like it because they spent a ton of money on it, and they don't want to hate on it. But in my personal experience, the original Galaxy Fold is actually a very good phone. My display is still perfectly fine. I don't baby it. I love it for consuming content. Watching live streams like this, because I can watch the video and comment on the bottom. It's great. Yeah, see, Joseph's always in Jay Will's live streams, so that's how he knows me. Because yes, I'm always in Jay Will's live streams because I think he gives out good information, and he certainly has pretty much all the phones too. And like I said, I'll just test out this stuff because I've got a lot of phones. I'm not an expert, but I'm certainly willing to lend my opinion. I'm certainly willing to answer any questions people have about it, because not everyone can get their hands on it, and so I want to be more open about that. Yes, see, Joseph goes and buys everything too. He's a collector. He does all sorts of crazy stuff. So, what's your most favorite phone that you've got, Joseph? Or what's the best phone that you've collected that you've spent your money on that you also wanted and you still probably have? See, you got Stadia. I'm not a gamer. So, if I was, I probably would have got my hands on Stadia. And I know gaming is a very lucrative market, but I'm not much of a gamer. I haven't gamed since the original consoles. So, when you're a kid, you love the original Nintendo. I had all the way up through probably the Super Nintendo 64, which I'm dating myself. Um, Xbox, but I haven't had the last 2 generations or so, at least, of Xbox. So I don't do a lot of gaming. I just don't have the time. If I had more time, I'd love to do it. When I was a kid, I would do it all the time. College, definitely all the time. But I don't have enough time now to invest in games. And if I did, I probably would. And I don't want to, because I know if I did, I probably would not stop. So I'm glad that you're liking Stadia. I heard it's really improving. Yeah, no, I've not gotten Stadia. Well, I really heard it's improving, and it's the best thing is its ubiquity, right? You can have it on your TV, on your laptop, on a lot of different devices, and it's all from the cloud. So that's really awesome. Like Nvidia started that with their Shield, right? They had Nvidia, then they had their cloud product where you could have a bunch of games online in the cloud. You didn't have to have anything locally, and then it's very ubiquitous as well. So I think Stadia is trying to do that, and with any of these gaming systems, it's all about the titles, right? What games can you secure for your platform? So it just depends on what you like playing, I think. Yeah, see, Sony. So Joseph thinks the best one he got was the Z1S and the Sony Z3. I feel like they're really good for the price and quality. I do like LG, I'm assuming, as well. I've had a lot of LGs. Yeah, Sony. I'm a Sony fan. I love Sony. Like I said this already. I've had Sony devices growing up, not even phones, just Sony electronics. And so I've featured a bunch of Sony phones on this channel. I've had, I don't know, what was the first one I did on the channel? XZ, XZS, the compacts for sure. But I've had Sony phones way before that. I definitely had the Z3. The Z3 was a pure phone, ran pure stock Android until Verizon messed it up and they asked for the Z3V, and that thing looked ugly and had Verizon bloatware all over that thing, and gotta hate the Z3V. But Sony actually had retail store here locally. So I used to go and check out the Sony phones, all the Sony devices, PS, PlayStations, headphones. And then they just couldn't sustain that, and they had to implode and close that down. But that was really cool when they had the Sony stores here, retail outlets. That's what made me actually buy that Z3. I could actually go in the store, touch the thing, and I found it was running stock Android. I thought it was really cool. Because before that, I think before the Z3 or Z2, my previous Sony phone was like a Sony Ericsson before they were just Sony. Yeah, you just buy for a kid. Yeah, I probably would too. Probably would too. Because now, especially, right? Kids don't have a lot to do. So, probably getting a lot of TV time, a lot of gaming time. But I was assuming they would do a lot of mobile gaming. Do your kids do a lot of mobile gaming? I would think they would do a lot of mobile gaming. And that's why I think Apple Arcade would be pretty interesting, because then you're not paying for every single game. You just buy a subscription. Buy a subscription, hand your kid a either $250 iPad or a what's that? God, I'm blanking because it's so early in the morning. Or an iPod Nano. See, Goran was perfectly happy with all his phones, mostly HTC. Only one Samsung. Wow, the Galaxy Alpha and the G7, which he still has. Yeah, because Goran loves his audio. Yeah, I would imagine 2020 has been a down year, Goran. I don't blame you. And even LG is starting to pull back, right? They don't have that DAC in their Velvet. They're going for looks over anything else. Yeah, if you're definitely focused on audio, I feel you, man. You know, and I don't know why phones don't have more default plug-in audio because Qualcomm, right? Qualcomm, it's not a processor. Okay, I'm going to go off on a little bit of a tangent and a rant. Everybody calls these Snapdragon phones, Snapdragon or Exynos, they call them a processor. And yes, a component on that chip is a processor, but it's branded as a system on a chip because it houses more than a processor. It's got the CPU, it's got the image processing unit, right? It's got a whole bunch of audio on it. It's got everything, most of the major components, the modem, right, that houses the communication. So pretty much all the major functions on the phone goes through that chip. It is not just a processor. That's why they call it a system on a chip, or SoC, because most of the major system functions go through that chip. And I hate saying chipset. I don't know why. But anyway, in the US, Qualcomm is the prominent player for a system on a chip in mobile devices. And on that mobile device is not just the CPU, it's not just the image processing, it's also the audio. Qualcomm offers a digital to analog converter, a DAC, otherwise known as a DAC, that's just thrown around. And that comes on the chip. And so why manufacturers don't have that exposed as an option on their phones is beyond me. And so the only reason I can come up with, I'm presuming, is because Qualcomm licenses off components off that chip. You can buy the chip, but if you want to leverage the image processing, is going to cost you extra. If you want to leverage the DAC, it's going to cost you extra. Maybe people don't want to license the DAC because this generation has become so jaded in their audio listening that their ears are not accustomed to great audio. They're fine with Bluetooth. They don't care about performance of a DAC when they plug in their headphones. And that may be a way to skimp on cost. But it comes on the chip. So I can't believe that Qualcomm is really going to really charge you that much more per unit to license their DAC. Maybe they do, but I can't imagine that. And Qualcomm's DAC is pretty good. It's not LG Quad DAC, but it's definitely better than if you had nothing at all. And I know Xiaomi has done this because even Xiaomi, their inexpensive $200 Mi A1 that ran pure Google, this was Google One phone, had phenomenal audio if you plugged in a pair of headphones. And the only reason that I could come up with it is because they were just using the default DAC that was on the chip. Because no other phone sounded that good. Samsung has good audio, but not that good. Samsung has good audio, but not that good. LG has great audio. HTC had phenomenal audio because they used that DAC. HTC 10, probably one of the best sounding phones to date because they use Qualcomm's DAC. All right. Any of you free to disagree, that's fine. But that's just my personal opinion. Joseph says my son does a lot of mobile gaming. He has 45 games downloaded on his phone. I also have a Z2 Force. That's my phone. That's the phone my son's using. Okay. Cool. Mark II from Sony closes with manual camera, not the brightest, and unnecessarily 4K and price. Yes, the price is pretty high, but think about it. It's not far off from a market pricing perspective, right? Because Samsung is pricing their Plus at what, $1,100? Ultra's $400. So even the highest config iPhone is $1,500. So for Sony to throw their best phone out there at 1,100, 1,150, it's not out of line for market pricing. Is it too high for consumers? Yes. Is it high for market pricing? Probably not. At least here in the US. I know you're not from the US, Garon. Yes, you do need a 3.5. Yes. Why is USB-C audio? It does. Well, because there's no standard, right? So when USB-C audio first came up, people were making their own DACs built into that adapter, right? You had the USB-C to 3.5 millimeter jack adapter, and they built the DAC into that adapter. That's why some of them are so bulky. I know you know this, Goran. I'm doing this for the benefit of anyone else who actually is going to listen to this thing. They built their DAC into the adapter. And some are phenomenal. HTC had a phenomenal DAC built into the adapter. So when they pulled their 3.5 and they gave you that adapter, it was a phenomenal DAC in that adapter. There were other companies who gave you the adapter, no DAC, and you could definitely tell the difference. So yes, there was probably market for, and there are third-party manufacturers, and I know you know this, Karan, that sell USB-C to 3.5 adapters with a DAC built in for like $30-$40. Phenomenal DACs. Upwards of $100 actually, that are definitely worth investing in if you really care about audio and you've got a USB-C phone with no headphone jack. But I know why the phone manufacturers have not invested in it, because sadly it seems that majority of their customer base don't care, right? I don't like to generalize, but you have to admit that the younger generation probably have grown up with Bluetooth audio or subpar headphones, and they don't know what good audio sounds like. Their ears are tuned to Bluetooth audio, and they're okay with almost anything that maintains a consistent connection, has good battery life, right? If it has consistent connection, good battery life, and I can get audio out of it, I'm probably okay with it. And so that's why most manufacturers don't invest in producing the best sound quality, because the majority of their customer base probably doesn't care, sadly. And that's why hi-fi audio still is a very niche audience. Yes, the HTC U11 was a badass phone. Yes. HTC made freaking awesome phones. I had an HTC phone, a Windows mobile phone, before it was Windows Phone. Remember that? When they're AudioVox and they're like a white label, they're producing phones for other companies. HTC made awesome stuff. Even when they did Android, HTC 10, aluminum back. I know they had the M8, the M7. Those are phenomenal. HTC's 10, I think, perfected all that. From the aluminum back, curved back display phone, HTC 10 was it. Yes, the M7, M8 was awesome. The HTC 10 perfected it. And since it went to glass, yes, the U11 was freaking awesome. U11 was a great glass phone. Awesome phone. Great cameras. Still have great photos from the thing. The U12 was really good. Underrated. I hate underrated. I don't like using underrated. But it was a great phone. And then they sold off to Google, and that was it. The M8 Hardened Cardin Edition was a killer. I'm sure it was. I never had that thing, but that's the other thing. HTC did their whole marketing thing, right? They had the Harman Kardon edition. They did their marketing licensing with Beats. They're the first ones to do Beats. Remember? They marketed and they licensed off Beats before Apple got it. And that was their whole thing. Actually, the HTC 8X Windows Phone was pretty awesome. That thing was so sleek, so thin. HTC 8X Windows Phone. Anybody had that thing? That was awesome. Grew up with Walkman, tape players, CD players, the portable CD players, and then it went to iPods and MP3 players, Sony Walkman. Yes, Sony audio was freaking awesome. Walkman brand was awesome. Even if it wasn't the best, I don't know, because you still had like Iowa, right? Yeah, you had competition, but Sony was always that top level, high end, premier brand. And then they had mini disc. Anybody had a Sony mini disc player? Sony mini disc. I thought that was going to be the thing. Sony mini disc. I thought was the coolest thing for a while. I had a Windows 8 phone, AT&T. Used to sell that phone. It was the first ever Windows phone that they came out with. I think, yeah. Was that the Samsung? I know Samsung had a Windows 8 phone on AT&T. I remember that. I still have that probably somewhere. I had almost every single Windows phone that came out. I'm really sad about Windows Phone. I like the underdog. I think that's the problem. I liked Apple when they're underdog. I love the Windows Phone before their Windows Phone. I love Windows Mobile when they're competing against Palm, when Palm was establishment. I think I just like the underdog. That's my problem, which is why I'll never have a winning product. Had HTC 10, I replaced it with the G7. Even without ESS quad DAC, HTC 10 sound quality matched the G7, just amp on the LG's. Well, sorry, yeah, see, HTC 10, that thing had a phenomenal DAC, and I don't hear anybody talking about that 10. I talked about the 10 audio. I don't think anybody talked about the thing. It was awesome, and they didn't advertise it. I just thought they got it because they licensed out Qualcomm's DAC. But yes, HTC 10 had awesome audio. And I'm not an audiophile. I just know when I hear good stuff. I just know what sounds good, what doesn't. Just like cameras, I know what looks good to me and what doesn't. I'm not an audiophile. I'm not an audiophile. I'm not a camera pro person. I just know what I like. And HTC 10 sounded freaking awesome. And it could drive my high-end. The HTC 10 could drive my high-end headphones. I've got Fostex back there. They're hanging on the monitor. Fostex, Purple Hearts. I still use them. They're hanging right there on the monitor. You can see them right somewhere if I can point to it. Whatever. There. And they could drive. Even the HTC 10s could even drive those. It was pretty crazy. Sony is loud on paper. In reality, HTC 10 was absolute superiority when it comes to audio. Yeah. No, Sony was not even top 2. Sony was not even top 2. Before LG came out with their quad DAC, it was HTC. No. What was it? HTC, Samsung, then Sony. Samsung is pretty good, man. People don't really give Samsung credit for their audio. It's pretty good because they gave you a lot of EQ and tuning stuff. And then Sony, which you would have thought would have been possibly number 1 or at worst number 2, wasn't in their phones. You would think Sony, okay, another rant. This is where you get frustrated with Sony. They're the number 1 in electronics, right? They had great TVs. They're in smartphones. They have great displays. They have great audio products. They have great cameras. So why can't they combine all that into their smartphone? Their smartphone should have the best display. They should have the best camera. They should have the best audio, right? And that's like the main things people care about. People care about what the display looks like, how it sounds, not as much maybe today, and what the camera is like. They have the makings of all that within the Sony electronics umbrella, and why they can't have the best of all that in a smartphone is beyond me. I don't know. Like, you would have thought they would license, like you said before, their Walkman technology, brand that into their phone. This is Sony phone with Walkman. This is a Sony Walkman in a phone with our alpha camera in a phone and our triluminous display in our TVs. Boom, right? If I got my TV display, I've got my Walkman audio, I've got my alpha camera in my phone, who's going to beat Sony smartphone if it really lived up to that billing? Sony would crush everybody. It wouldn't even be close. Wouldn't be close. Would anybody buy that? Would anybody buy a Sony phone with the best Sony TV display in their phone with the Walkman, and it sounded as good as their Walkmans, and it had their alpha camera, and it was performing as good as their alpha mirrorless cameras, or as good as smartphone could do. Who would buy that? I know I would. I would pay. I would pay the money for that. I would pay the top end pricing for that. I don't want to pay $1,000 for a phone, but I would pay $1,000, and I would say it's worth $1,000 if they did that. Goran says, let's face it, Sony never delivered the phone they could make and deserve internationally. That's why I never choose Sony, and that Arrogance Mark II is the way in the right direction. Yes, if they deliver on that camera. But they could. If they really wanted to and deliver on the camera, the audio, and the display, with this improved design, they could just crush everything. But yeah, clearly they're not interested in the mobile. Yeah, Philips, JVC, JBL, RCA, Sony. Yeah, all those brands highly competed in audio for sure. All right. So, Costa, if you're still here, you need to show yourself because I went for 3 hours. So, I think I'm going to have to wrap this up here. It's been 3 hours. That's impressive. But 6 people are still here. I appreciate you guys for hanging in there with me. Some are still in my time zone, like Joseph, who's I think is crazy like me and has stayed up till 2:40 a.m. So, but for everyone else who is just, by chance got a notification, decided to stop by when I was just messing around with this live stream, I appreciate it. If you guys are into this stuff, like I said, I'll try to do this more regularly. I've just been trying to test this stuff and people stayed in and dragged out a 10-minute live stream into 3 hours. So, but it didn't feel like 3 hours. It felt, good to talk about this stuff and talk about it, answer questions with you guys. So thank you very much, everybody, for sticking around. Costa's still here. Yay. So he's probably driving his cab somewhere. It has me around the background, but, thanks for tuning in. Like I said, I'll try to do more of this stuff if you're interested. So, thanks for hanging out. Appreciate everyone stopping by. A lot of long-time people I saw come through here, so that really means a lot to me, like Steve, Goran, Joseph, who stopped in through, Jay Will, Costa's been around. We've been talking offline for a bit. So thanks very much for all you guys for sticking with me here. Like I said, I'll try to do more of these if you guys like this kind of stuff. So maybe at more reasonable hours, although this might be more reasonable for you, which is why you're here. So but otherwise, let me know. Let me know what you want to talk about, what you're interested in, what you want to see on the channel. I will try to do that. But thanks everyone for stopping by. Have a great rest of your weekend. And maybe I'll do some more of these in the future. Thanks very much.